Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well and thanks for joining us for another live stream. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. I have quite the renowned tendency of ballsing up my audio, so I'm hoping it's working this time. Yes, you're there as well. Yes, so thank you all for joining us for this live stream, which is... oh, somebody saying echo? Echo. There we are. I do apologise about that. I told you I have a tendency of ballsing up my audio. So that should be that fixed now. So, yes. Just when I thought that TFE couldn't surprise me anymore, I've been surprised. I mean, when TFE was first announced, I didn't think any flat earthers would go at all. So I was surprised when 4 of them went, which were Jaron Campanella, then Austin Whitsitt, then Lisbeth Acosta, and then finally Jonathan Morandi. Then I was surprised again when Jaron walked up to me on the plane when we landed back in Punta Arenas and shook my hand and said, the Earth must be a globe. It's the only thing that fits. So that was a surprise. Then it was a surprise when the likes of Robbie Davidson, Paul on the Plane, and Patricia Steele all ditched flat Earth as well. I mean, I wasn't surprised that that some the sort of smaller flat earthers, if you like, or kind of not particularly well-known flat earthers left, but big name ones who've dealt with conferences, who've been in documentaries and the likes. I was surprised when they left. I wasn't surprised, however, when flat earthers started turning on them all for leaving. That bit didn't surprise me at all. What has surprised me, however, is now flat earthers turning on flat earthers. Namely, Flatzoid and his crew all turning on Lisbeth. Coming out with what can only be described as disgusting, deplorable, and just outright dumb claims, which I would like to address today. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I will apologise if you've already had to listen to the things that have been said. I will apologise because I'm going to make you go through them again. If you haven't heard these things yet, I'll apologise now for the fact that I'm going to make you listen to them. Before I do that, a couple of little housekeeping things. Firstly, I'm going to straighten that camera up because Rusty's on a slant. There we go. There we go. A couple of people are asking about the 360 as well. That was something I've just been playing around with. I'm rather annoyed. We had a whole saga in Antarctica because Will's 360 camera, Mark's 360 camera, he took with him one of those Insta360s. He took with him to stream a 24-hour live stream on Candace Owens' Rumble channel, only to then find that the only way you could stream with an Insta360 is you had to Wi-Fi it to a phone and then use the phone's mobile data to transmit that to the live stream. And obviously we were in the middle of Antarctica, couldn't do it. Since getting back, they've done a firmware update, and is that going to play? No, damn it. I've broken it now. I had that set up so that you could see it. And it's just throwing its hand in. Basically, you can now get 360 webcams through an Insta360, which would have been very bleeding useful 4 months ago. So, yeah, a little bit unhappy about that. Let's see if I can get that back up. The other update I wanted to give while I'm trying to fix that, the moon landing stuff I'm working on with Jaren, that is on the way. So Jaren now has ditched flat Earth, but he still argues that the moon landings are faked. So I suggested to him in Antarctica, or on the Antarctica trip, that we should do a sort of something together where we could go over the evidence of what he thinks proves that we didn't land on the moon, and we could go through that, and I could try and debunk it all. So I've spoken to him about it. He is setting up a call with some people tomorrow, I think, to put together a list of topics that he wants to discuss. He's going to then send me that list so that I can start to put together some sort of evidence and the likes to refute those points. And then, yeah, we'll organise some sort of a live stream together. So that is on the way. I haven't got any finalised dates of yet. I just wanted to update everyone and let them know. Something else as well that I'm toying with regards to this whole doing live streams, because the last sort of live stream or two that I didn't really have a structure or a topic to it, and they went on for a very long time. And a lot of people, or a couple of people, commented that they didn't particularly like that, and they were I think they were worried that I was just dropping videos altogether to do live streams instead. So just want to clarify that is not the case. I am working on videos. I've got 2 in the pipeline right now. But live streams, I just want to expand a bit and do them because, one, I've had a lot of people requesting that I do live streams since going to Antarctica. So, there's obviously a demand there. I'm just trying to sort of cater for everybody. But also, I enjoy doing them as well because it gives me a chance to get back in touch with everybody and kind of engage directly with you guys, of which there are currently 454 of you watching. So welcome all. But I do want to try and sort of bring a bit more structure to the live streams and have a topic in hand, like flat earthers saying deplorable things about people who went to Antarctica, for example. So one thing I was contemplating, because there was a comment that I received the other day. Somebody messaged me. I'll see if I can pull it up now, actually, because it really drives home for me why I do the things that why I do these. In fact, there's the comment right there. The Obsessed Patriot, who is now a former flat earther, having found me because of the Final Experiment videos, has now watched my videos and put in a very nice long message explaining basically in depth their flat Earth story and the likes. And it really drove home a point that I've mentioned a couple of times before, which is there's always something, I think, just that something that you could say to a flat earther, one point that will make them realize, kind of make all the puzzles pieces fit together and make them see the big picture for the fact that the Earth isn't flat. But for every person, it's something different. So I want to try setting up some form of a live stream, something along the lines of Jaren's Speaker's Corner thing, where you could just come straight in and have a few minutes or I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever, where any flat earthers or conspiracy theorists can just come on and we can have a discussion about whatever they think doesn't work, and we'll see if we can help people to realize. So that's something else that I'm working on. Speaking of working on, let's see if this works now. There we go. No, that's me from before. That's not what I after. Well, that is the 360 view from before, but that's it frozen. So yes, anyway, I can now live stream apparently with a 360 degree camera, which, like I say, would have been very bleeding useful in Antarctica. So anyway, speaking of Antarctica, so after I say after Antarctica, Jaren renounced Flat Earth. He's received a lot of flack from the Flat Earth community, or many members of the Flat Earth community have all turned on him. They've also kind of turned on Austin because he seems to have gone very quiet. But he's not actually come out and said anything. Jonathan has stayed very quiet, but then he was really kind of quiet beforehand, and he's focusing more on sorting the documentary out. But Lisbeth is still a flat earther. Not only is she not only is she just not come out and said she thinks the Earth's a globe, she pressed on and went and became a co-host of on Mark Sargent's channel. So she's definitely still flat earther. And then we have the likes of Flatzoid and his crew, who where is that video now? Who come out with statements along the lines of this.
I wonder if it's Elizabeth. And I'm not going to say what she was wearing.
It was 11 days ago. What's the last stream?
Would you say she could have been a comforter through all this kind of deal? You know what I'm saying? When they went down there, pretty girl, she was part of the package.
Yeah. You see the difference between Lisbeth and my wife. Lisbeth sends nude pictures to Jaren. My wife doesn't do that to anybody, so get your facts straight, mate.
Now, I've not seen any. So this is basically, for anyone who's not seen it, this is where the claims are going. That Flatzoid is claiming that Lisbeth sent nude photos to Jaren, and then that leads on to a plethora of other ideas. I've not seen any such pictures. Strangely enough, Flatzoid doesn't show any such pictures. He just says that Jaren showed the photos in a live stream. Now, Jaren brought this up the other day, yesterday, I think it was, where, according to him, he was looking through his computer or his Google Drive or something, and one of his photos flashed up, which wasn't of Lisbeth, it was of his wife, I think he said it was. But yeah, like I said, so Flatzoid's claiming it's a picture of Lisbeth and doesn't actually show the picture to confirm whether it's Lisbeth or not. But yeah, it's about to get a whole lot worse.
No, that actually
We literally have seen a picture of Lisbeth half naked for Jaren, so get your facts straight.
Absolute sickos.
That whole group is a perverted, nonsense, idiotic people, and frankly, they need to get a life. We all know why Elizabeth went with on the group. Yeah.
Yeah, we get it.
Skiing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Have you ever heard of the saying before, village bicycle?
Yeah, tune bike.
Yep.
Where I'm from, it's the tune bike.
Local pusher.
Yes, you are always accountable for everything. Remember, one day you're going to stand before God and you have to account for the things you've done, for the decisions you've made. On the
So yeah, I was not particularly impressed by Flatzoid making the claims about Lisbeth in the first place. I mean, I was there in Antarctica. I know what happened. Flatzoid doesn't have a clue because Flatzoid wasn't there. He could have gone, but he hasn't got the bollocks to go. But then, you know, he also just shifted away from he's not just talking specifically about Lisbeth or he's not, and or Jaren. He's including everybody as well, which means he's pulling me into all of this and branching the accusations across me as well. So he's making it personal, which for me is quite amusing because he says he's Christian and that we'll all one day have to stand before God and face judgment. Now, personally, I'm not religious, so at the moment I'm not particularly worried about that. But part of me now does kind of hope that he's right about that. Because if I die and I wind up standing before God facing judgment, I'm going to be laughing my tits off knowing that he's going to have to do the same thing and justify the bullshit that he's coming out with about Lisbeth and all of us who were on this trip.
Stream where we were saying there's a reason they took Lisbeth on the trip.
I was about to say, Sandra, what's wrong with you? What's your name?
Let's just put it this way. The reason we made that context is because we saw a picture of her from Jaren's stream that he tried to hide. It was very revealing. So we said, we all know why she was chosen for the trip.
A little eye candy, maybe? Or something a little more.
Exactly. Not our fault that this whole thing has been planned from long ago and the people they chose to go. If you don't like it, that's your problem.
Yeah, I just want to say to Alipio Barreto, that's what you and your team said about Elizabeth are too low. Disgusting.
Is that so, Alipio?
I've never said anything about Elizabeth.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no. It's fine. You can think that if you want to, but Lipo, can I ask you something? Do you have any evidence that what I said was false?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I was there, and he wasn't. And it's funny. He says that that he saw the pictures on a live stream of Jaren's, and apparently they all saw it. Well, they all hang out together on their live stream, so presumably if they've all seen it, then one of them should have, I don't know, how does one of them not manage to record it, grab a screenshot of it? If they were all watching the stream together, they'd still have it on record. But yeah, strangely, he makes all of these claims, quite extreme claims. And what's his evidence against it? Oh, if you don't like it, tough, and we have to prove that it didn't happen. That's apparently now where his scientific method has got to. Make wild claims, and then the burden of proof is on whoever you make the claim about to prove that that didn't happen. Clearly innocent till proven guilty is unknown in South Africa, but here's the thing I'd like to put to Flatzoid is, if the proof is on me and Toon and everyone else who went to Antarctica, if the burden of proof is on us to prove that what he's saying didn't happen, I've never seen Flatzoid prove that once his streams go offline from YouTube, him and PJ and Roger and the rest of the gang don't all then hang around on webcams afterwards and all get naked in front of each other and have a little dance party. I've never seen him prove that he's not done that. So by his logic, if he can't provide the proof that he's never done that, then I guess we can all just take it as word that he has. Right?
Well, so far, I can tell it looks like there's evidence for it. So,
and I can tell you one thing: the videos I've seen from Jaren, it wouldn't put me past that he's done that stuff. The pictures I've seen from Lisbeth to him, yeah. Do I think McToon and them will take part in it? Well, yes. Frankly, I don't think McToon is one of the cleanest guys around. I think he's one of the most perverted guys around. He's just like Jaren. So yeah, I'm just going to say it plain out. It's our opinion that group that went needed a certain somebody for entertainment. Don't like it, that's your problem.
And everybody has one. The
Yeah. Especially when you work with atheists and occultists and people that are perverted, they have their satanistic rituals they need to do. Okay, let's put it this way. Has my wife got anything to do with the flat earth?
Nothing.
No.
Has my wife got anything to do with Lisbeth sharing pictures with Jaren and them?
No,
So what the hell are they putting my wife's name into this?
exactly.
So yeah, I did say I'd apologise in advance. Now, with regards to his wife's name, as far as I know, somebody posted about Flatzoid's wife after the fact. Now, I don't agree with that, but then two wrongs don't make a right. I do find it, however, quite ironic that Flatzoid takes issue with his wife being dragged into this because she's not a part of it. Now, let's just bear in mind that so far, all he's actually claimed in terms of what he says he has evidence for is Lisbeth sent a picture to Jaren. Now, I'll make it absolutely clear here. I do not believe that that is the case, and I have seen absolutely no evidence that that is the case. But that is what Flatzoid is claiming, that Lisbeth sent a picture to Jaren. So why the hell is why is he dragging the rest of TFE into that? Like I said, I'm not suggesting that Lisbeth actually did that at all. But hypothetically, even if she did, so what? That is irrelevant to a trip to Antarctica. Right? People send pictures to people all the time. It does not change a trip somewhere. But also that would then be one person sending a picture to another person, neither of which is me or Toon or Critical Think or Austin or Will or Jonathan or Mark. So why is Flatzoid dragging all of us in? Yeah, typical double standard levels here of he's not happy about something when it hits him personally, but it's the exact same thing that he's done himself. Now, like I said, I think that whole thing is absolutely deplorable, and I wanted this on the stage for people to see. This is the kind of behaviour that is seemingly acceptable within Flat Earth. But moreover, for me personally, this is clear as day that disproving something that Flatzoid has also claimed numerous times, which is that TFE doesn't matter, apparently. Flatzoid has stated before, TFE doesn't matter. Whether the sun circles or not makes no difference. Granted, he's said that in... I've lost count of how many streams he's now done where he's tried to say that TFE doesn't matter, or how many streams he's done about TFE, and apparently it doesn't matter. Which is, I find quite bizarre that, you know, he would make that many streams about something that apparently doesn't matter. I mean, somebody could show me a video of a green bus driving down a road, and they could say, there's a green bus driving down the road. Now, for all I know, part of me could think that bus wasn't actually green. That's been edited. That bus was actually red to begin with. I don't believe it. I could then obsess over this and go through the video frame by frame and pixel by pixel to try and find absolutely any anomaly or discrepancy within the video to try and prove that that bus was actually red. I'm not going to do that, though, because it doesn't matter. somebody making the amount of streams that Flatzoid is making about TFE shows that TFE does matter. And more crucially, it seems very much to me like the reason that Flatzoid has gone after Lisbeth is precisely because TFE matters. Because for as much as he says 24-hour sun is irrelevant, he has been desperate to try and disprove it, coming out with some outlandish claims as to how he thinks Unreal Engine works. But the only reason I can see as to why he's gone after Lisbeth, because, like I said before, she's still Flat Earth, right? She was Flat Earth beforehand. She was unknown to with pretty much everyone within the sort of YouTube space because she was on the Clubhouse platform. But Mark Sargent has been on the other day with Flatzoid and was talking about how Lisbeth came to be on the panel on his show, and he said he went into Clubhouse to ask them about Lisbeth and basically to check that she was actually Flat Earth, and they were all very much yes, she is. So she and like I say, after TFE, Jaren completely flipped, went from posting videos pre-TFE about how the Earth is flat, apparently flat, to now debunking all of those and posting about how the Earth is a globe. Witsit was extremely vocal pro-flat Earth beforehand, has completely disappeared. The odd times I've seen him do any streams, they don't seem to have anything to do with flat Earth now. Jonathan wasn't particularly vocal pre-TFE about flat Earth, and like I say, since getting back, he's been all focused on the documentary. Lisbeth, who no one within the YouTube space knew, like literally when it came about she was going, everyone's reaction within the sort of YouTube space was, who's Lisbeth? No one seems to know who she is. Post TFE, she's now was on one of the biggest flat Earth YouTube channels on a weekly show, pro flat Earth. So the only reason I can think as to why Flatzoid is suddenly going after Lisbeth is because he's bricking it about the 24-hour sun. Because all the globe side, me, Toon, Critical Think, Mark Herman, and Will, he can just instantly basically blanket that as they're globers, they're shills, they're paid NASA agents, whatever. You can just he can basically persuade his audience to ignore what we've got to say. Jaren, flipping, he can now say Jaren's a shill. Jaren was paid. He was doing it all for the money. He could say the same about Austin. That's why Austin's gone quiet. That Austin's maybe not prepared to come out and face the toxicity backlash of flat Earth, but that he's coerced into it with us. He's already tried to suggest that Jonathan was in on on some big fakery plan because he thinks that Jonathan used to work for Disney within video editing and stuff. But he had nothing on Lisbeth. He had nothing to try and discredit Lisbeth, and it seems to be an important thing with Flat Earth. Is they need a way. But when I say Flat Earth and I am talking about the content creators who are trying to sort of persuade an audience, shall we say? Not just I'm not branching all flat earthers as this, but the content creating flat Earth always seem to be after something to discredit somebody about what they're talking about. I face it day in and day out. right? I get constantly people commenting on my videos going, oh, what's your qualifications for talking about rockets going to the moon? From people who have no more qualifications related to rockets going to the moon than I do, but they're just after some way to be able to say, I don't need to pay attention to what that person is saying. And I think that's what Flatsoid's in the chat. Is he? I'm not seeing him. Thank God. So yes, I believe that's why he's gone after Lisbeth, is because he's bricking it about the 24-hour sun. He's not got an answer for a 24-hour sun. For as much as he says 24-hour sun doesn't work, he's obsessed with it. And I can tell that it must be regarding the fact that there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Because if the same group of us who were on TFE, if we didn't go to Chile and Antarctica, if we went to Toronto and then on to Alaska and watched the 24-hour sun in the north, I'll wager he wouldn't say a damn word about Lisbeth or any such thing like that about us watching the 24-hour sun in the north. Oh, goody, Flatsoid's watching right now. Excellent. Catch up, Flatsoid. I would like to know where your evidence is basically of any of this. But specifically, like I say, he doesn't just leave it as it's Jaren and Lisbeth. He's dragged everyone into this. We're all part of it. And this is where, for me, this has got to be the dumbest claim I've ever heard him make. I've heard quite a few, but this one takes the biscuit for me because let's just try and use something that Flatsoid seems to struggle grabbing the concept of logic. He's seriously suggesting that that Will spent 40 grand to send Lisbeth to Antarctica for the pleasure of everyone else who was on that trip. Now, if I can't believe I'm going to have to stoop myself to this level of absolute deplority, but hey ho, I apologize. If it was seriously needed, it's seriously a requirement of us going to Antarctica, of we're going to need a female companion. JB, they're claiming they don't even know if Lisbeth was a real flat earther and they're not turning. I'm sorry, what? They're claiming they don't know if Lisbeth was ever a real flat earther. And they're not turning on her. Well, if saying the things that they've said about her isn't turning on her, I shudder to think the amount of shite that they would say about somebody they are turning on. And as for they don't know whether she's a real flat earther or not, I appreciate they haven't got a naffing clue what research is, but Mark Sargent gave them the answer to their face on his live stream. Mark Sargent went into Clubhouse and spoke to the room full of flat earthers on that platform and asked them about Lisbeth, and all of them said she's been part of this group since pretty much the beginning. She's one of the longest standing flat earthers within this group. Mind you, I can't exactly be surprised. I've been on his stream and given him the answers to things, and he still manages to fuck it all up. So, but yes, let's just imagine for a moment here that really, how many of us? 9 of us? I can't even count it. Let's just imagine that He just showed a picture of Lisbeth and censored it for some reason. He provided no context. No, surely that can't be the case, because he said himself, context is very important here. So, yeah, surely he wouldn't do something like that. And yeah, I'm, even if he's got a picture of Lisbeth, it's still, I'd still like to know where the hell I come into it, or where anybody else comes into it, apart from Lisbeth and Jaren, which, like I say, I don't believe for 1 second that it is Lisbeth. But without seeing the photo, I can't be certain. But yeah, even if we were to say that all of us did require a female companion, it feels fucking ridiculous even just about to suggest it. Why the hell would we expect Will to pay 40 odd grand for somebody to go to Antarctica along with us, all for 9 of us to share, when, Jesus Christ, oh my God, let's just put it subtly, there's other ways that you can get female companions in Chile. And you don't need to drag them to Antarctica either. I mean, I don't know about Flatsoid, but, most people could probably cope 4 days in Antarctica. I wouldn't expect, no, I don't think anyone would expect Will to pay 35 grand to drag a stranger to Antarctica to, like, say, share amongst 9 of us. It would be cheaper to take our partners to fucking Chile with us. Yeah, Wally, that's what I did mention that before. So, Jaren said that the picture that showed up is his wife, not Lisbeth, which sounds far more logical than anything that Flatsoid comes out with. But yeah, it's utterly farcical. And then why the hell, there were other people at Union Glacier Camp, right? When you look through the footage and stuff, there's other people milling around the camp. There were a few other people there who we didn't really have any interaction with, right? Apart from when we went up to halfway point for like 24 hours. So why go through? Even if, and this is about as big as an if as I think I could physically manage here. Even if you were to say that we did require female companionship to be shared amongst more than half a dozen people, and we specifically demanded that that person needs to go to Antarctica with us as well, what would be the point in the big song and dance about making it known that she's going and that she's a flat earther? She could have just been another random stranger, as far as anyone else was concerned, that happened to go there and could have stayed at the camp. Why make the big, here's a flat earther who's going as well, and why make her stand on a stream to say that she watched the sun circle around her for 24 hours and then seemingly persuade her to join Mark fucking Sargent's streams just because? Absolutely none of that makes any sense at all. Mind you, not much of anything that comes out of Flatsoid's mouth these days makes any sense at all, but it doesn't seem to bother him. So yes, it's just, there's no logic to it at all. And like I said, I will wager categorically, because, like I said, even if Lisbeth sent a picture to Jaren, that doesn't change anything else. Doesn't drag the rest of the group into it. It doesn't do anything. It's not related to Antarctica in any way, shape, or bleeding form. So the only reason Flatsoid is bringing up this and making the claims he's making is because it's about Antarctica. Which I'll know because, like I said, if you change the location of the trip to Alaska, he would not be focusing on it. He would not be obsessing over it. He would not be making endless streams and doing constant videos about a trip to Alaska, because for a flat earth, a trip to Alaska really wouldn't matter. D Marble did it, what, 8 years ago? And flat earthers were absolutely fine with it, with that 24-hour sun. Then for them, then the light in the sky, yeah, absolutely fine. Happy to put it there. In fact, I'll go so far as is Sleeping Warrior in with Flatzoid at the moment, because I couldn't help but notice that when D Marble went to Alaska and watched the 24-hour sun in the north, Sleeping Warrior and Ranty, when talking about it all, even went on to go so far as to say that the 24-hour sun in the north disproved the globe. So apparently a light in the sky is more than happy evidence there, but when it comes to the 24-hour sun in the south, oh no, that doesn't matter, but they're going to obsess over it all bleeding day long as well. Yeah. So utterly disgusting behavior that there's no call for. Like I said, even if Jaren has a picture of Lisbeth, which I highly doubt, none of it, that doesn't justify any of the rest of the claims that got made. But apparently he's made them as well. He called Mark Sargent a shill. Well, yeah, I could have told him that. No, Mark Sargent, who shouldn't actually be on YouTube anymore, because Mark Sargent made the challenge that if anyone can show him a curved horizon, he would delete his YouTube channel. The same Mark Sargent who says that the reason that I can't see New York from the UK is because of a limit to our vision. Which would mean that if there's a limit to our vision, that limit is the same in every direction, which forms a circle around us. Which means that even on his own notion of a flat Earth, he would have a curved horizon, and which means that by his own claims, he should no longer have a YouTube channel. But he's still here, pushing Dirt's app. But yes, there's the fact that Flatzoid is going after other flat earthers. And like I said, I don't care what Flatzoid says about doesn't know whether Lisbeth is a flat earther. Lisbeth says she's a flat earther. She's been on shows saying pro-flat earth stuff. So unless he has any evidence to the contrary, other than she actually had the bollocks to, probably bad choice of words, she actually had the intellectual honesty and the balls to go to Antarctica and see it for herself, rather than stay at home saying it doesn't matter while streaming pretty much daily, talking about how much it doesn't matter, and then spend the preceding several weeks obsessing over every aspect of apparently how it's fake, with no answers for it, or managing to explain how we could see the sun rise and set south of Chile, which is an observation that he himself has and can and have made. An observation that his streaming buddy Som has stated categorically would prove the globe. Although magically that goalpost got shifted pretty quickly. Yeah. Utter garbage. Right, I'm seeing some super chats coming through here, so let's just... Oh my god, I've got quite a few super chats. Let's just catch up on some of these here. Super Wacky Wabbit for 5 Canadian. It's clearly not fart. Anyone has learned the carbon cycle knows the Earth is quite effervescent. Well, I'm just going to make a sarcastic comment, then I won't. Tim Tully for $5. Disgusting, barely scratches the surface as far as Flatzoid is concerned. I quite agree, Tim, but I can't give accurate descriptions because I would probably have my channel removed from YouTube. Jesus22 for 10 PLN. They are a mutual admiration society. Meat permits for $5. This needs to be the only thing anyone talks to these people about until they leave the internet. Not flat earth, just defamation. I have no interest in engaging with Flatzoid until he can either A, retract what he's stated, or B, prove it. And by retract or prove it, I'm not talking about a photo that he's going to claim is Lisbeth. I want to see the evidence that he's got that involves everybody else that he's trying to drag in his piss poor feeble attempts to try and discredit TFE, which is frankly all it is. Because he's bricking it that he doesn't have the answers as to why there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Strangely enough, neither do any of the other flat earthers. Why? Because a 24-hour sun in Antarctica does not work on a flat earth. Now, for as much as they want to say, oh, that's that's kind of, you can't prove it, it's a whatever the hell, whatever the term that they used is, or oh, they only prove that with an AE map, which isn't a flat earth map, it's a globe projection. It's quite hilarious that they'll say they don't claim a flat earth map. The same people who we know, like, they'll say celestial navigation works, and apparently it proves a flat earth because they don't know how celestial navigation happens, but they'll say celestial navigation works, which involves knowing the ground positions of all the stars in the sky. Well, if you know the GP of every star in the sky, how would you know the ground position of a star without a map? But apparently they don't claim a map because they can't get any of them to work. Works fine on that, though, funnily enough. Chocolator for £2. TFE does matter. Pizza World does not. Oh, TFE absolutely matters. TFE has caused more uproar than I ever imagined. Like, I stated outright to Will back in June or whenever it was, when I got offered the chance to go, I said to him there and then, I don't think any flat earthers are going to go, and I doubt it's going to make much of a difference, because I figured that all flat earthers would just refuse to go and stick their fingers in their ears and want to know nothing of it. I didn't expect, like I say, I didn't expect flat earthers to go. I certainly didn't think Jaren would go, but not, or Jaren or Austin. I nailed both of those down beforehand as shills. Genuinely thought both of them were shills. That they knew the Earth was a globe and they didn't want to know, because Jaren's had numerous instances where he's wound up proving the globe, and I didn't think it was possible that somebody could do that many times and not realize that they were doing it. But I was completely wrong. So yeah, I didn't think any flat earthers would go. I was amazed that they did agree to go. And then, like I said, I figured that flat earthers would just ignore it and cry fake and do whatever. I never quite expected the obsession about it that they've thrown back in response. Cygnus Step for $2. Do you feel like watching Flatzoid live right now? No, not particularly. Doi First Doi for £5. Hey yo, Flatzoid is disgusting, mate. Ad hominem attacks against the person on his own side. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's the crux of it for me, is the fact that there's nothing there. There's no tangible reason to go after Lisbeth. Like I said, even if, and I absolutely do not for 1 second think that she did, but even if she'd sent a picture to Jaren, so what? Like, I didn't, like, last I checked, I don't think it's illegal to do that, and it bears absolutely no relevance to anything regarding the shape of the Earth. Like, you know, has anybody ever picked up a phone and go, oh, somebody sent me a picture. Shit, the shape of the Earth must be different. No. Sending someone a picture has no bearing on the shape of the Earth or anything to do with science. So the only reason to focus on that is if there's something else that you're after. And for me, the something else that he's after is a reason to be able to try and justify a discredit of Lisbeth. And like I said, again, even if what Flatsoid said was true, which yeah, I could probably write down the number of things that within that Flatsoid said as true. I could write on the back of a stamp and have room to spare. In fact, I'll correct that. I could write it on the back of a stamp without having a fucking pen. What was I going to say? I don't know. Somebody's saying Flatsoid's in chat and wants to come and speak. I don't want to speak to Flatsoid. Flatsoid doesn't deserve my time at the moment. Flatsoid's left the chat. Good. If he could leave YouTube as well until he's got some fucking evidence to back his claims up. Because, like I said, going after Lisbeth for absolutely no reason other than you can't explain a 24-hour sun, deplorable enough. Trying to drag everybody else into it just because you haven't got a fucking answer for anything? Turtle moves, £2. Join the Flat Bus Society. You know, it makes sense. It probably makes more sense than a flat Earth at the moment. Pat in the chat for $5. Do you think Flatsoid knows that bearing false witness is a sin? Not very Christian-like. Tut tut. He may no longer be my favourite top left candidate. I mean, it is. Yeah. One could argue he's really pushing himself with this one to go top left. But I still have to say vote Toon top left. For anyone not the top left, because I posted about it the other day and a few people were commenting as to what was top left, and it's a joke awards thing that MC Toon does. It's basically on the Dunning-Kruger scale, and he asked if I'd want to do a top left nomination video for someone who I thought was top left. Dunning-Kruger scale of how much knowledge do you actually have about a topic versus how much knowledge do you think you have about a topic. And it's kind of, if you're learning something new with a little bit of knowledge, you very quickly gain confidence that you think you know a lot about that, and so your confidence grows very, very quickly until you reach a point where you suddenly realize, actually, I don't know anything about this topic, and your confidence plummets. Even though you're still learning more knowledge, your confidence then drops back off, and then as you then learn more and more knowledge, your confidence gradually goes back up, and it's deemed that top left peak is where you have a huge amount of confidence, almost to the borderline of arrogance, about topics that you actually know very little about, which is a very common trait amongst, conspiracy theorists, particularly flat earthers at the moment. So, yeah, it's this awards thing that Toon and FTFE did, and he asked, would I make a top left video? Would I nominate somebody and make a top left video? Now, I don't like sort of pulling attacks on flat earthers. Hard to believe watching this stream, but generally I don't like doing it. it's, you know, I appreciate there's gaps in everyone's knowledge. I'm not claiming at all that I know everything about everything, far from it. But I do find that sort of just rather than attacking individuals and flat for believing that the earth is flat, just talking to them is actually very productive. And you tend to find there's a gap in their knowledge somewhere, that there's something they've just not quite considered. And if you can just give them the right example, it just flicks something in their mind. So, for example, I can't even remember his bloody name. I had it before. Yeah, Obsessed Patriot, who commented before, who I did actually see in the chat, pointed out that the thing that got him was I'd highlighted about the fact that there's a pressure gradient. And just something, I can't even remember what I said within the video, but something within that made him realize that you don't need a container if you have a pressure gradient where the pressure's higher, lower down. Because if you needed a container, it would be because the air's actually trying to escape. So you would have either equal pressure or higher pressure at the top. So just that alone was enough to make him twig. Amarel, the flat earther who left partly because Eric Dubé refused to go to Antarctica after years of whinging that he wanted to go to Antarctica, said that one of the things that kind of got him questioning to begin with was the video I did about the undersides of planes being lit at sunset. Just an everyday observation that he'd seen 101 times, but just never had that sort of putting two and two together until it got pointed out to him. So, yeah, I'm usually all for just wanting to talk to flat earthers and discuss things, which is why I want to sort of look at doing this new format of just sort of basically open invitation, doing a stream where it's just open invitation that people can just come on one by one and we'll have a conversation. So I didn't want to go after a flat earther for any top left awards. So I went after some guy called Tom Palladino instead, who tries claiming that he can take a photograph of spinach and a photograph of himself and put it next to a machine and give himself the nutrition from spinach. Or that he can take a picture of somebody and that has a disease and he can put a photograph of that disease, that virus, with the photo and cure them. Now, just to be clear, I don't actually think that Tom Palladino is top left, because top left is you think you have a lot of knowledge about something when in fact you don't. I think he's just a fucking scammer, but I wanted to make a video to sort of just poke fun at his ridiculous claims and highlight it to everybody. So, anyway, I wound up on a stream a couple of weeks back with Toon and a few other people to show my top, or say who my top left nomination was. And then while I was on a stream, my daughter came in and sat with me. So when I was signing off, I just said to Toon, maybe she's got a top left nomination, and jokingly said to her, who's the silliest person you know? Thinking she'd say me, because I'm always clowning around and you know, she always remarks about it. So I thought she'd point at me. And she wound up pointing at Toon on the screen, which then got taken as an official nomination. And obviously she's 4 years old. She can't make a top left nomination video. So I had to step forward and do it. So I'll put a link in there for it. This is the top left nomination video for MC Toon. I encourage all of you to go and watch it. But don't hit the thumbs up button, please, because MC Toon's trying to rig everything, because he's scared of being nominated for Flat Earth. So as much as Flatzoid probably does deserve, I think there needs to be somewhere beyond top left. Like he's reached the peak of the mountain of top left, got in a balloon and carried on going up. With the utter garbage he's come out with in the past couple of days. So yeah, like I say, utterly deplorable, ridiculous claims that has been made. completely unjustified about Lisbeth. Like I said, even if she'd sent a picture that she's not actually sent, that there's no justification for dragging everybody else into it as well. He's just using it as a way to try and validate his own delusions about a 24-hour southern sun apparently not mattering, with no regard for anybody else. With no care or consideration as to how it might impact somebody. Like I say, he's got no justification. He's got no evidence whatsoever to back up this suggestion that Lisbeth has been paid to come on a trip purely for the pleasure, or purely to pleasure 9 men. What kind of that's not even low level human. That is below a human would come up with stuff like that. No consideration for the fact that Lisbeth has then seen all of that shite that he's posted. No consideration as to how that might impact her, or if any of her friends or family see any of what's been said about her. None. No care whatsoever. But he gives a shit when it's his family and friends who are being dragged into it, and one's close to him. Double standards isn't really his forte. Double standards is his forte, in fact, I should say. I actually messaged Lisbeth and asked her if she wanted to. I told her I was going to do a stream and go over this these flatsoid claims, and asked if she wanted to sort of come on and I say justify, not justify herself. Basically, yeah, just explain how fucking deluded Flatsoid is and how much shite he came out with. But she's not in the right headspace for it this soon, this early on. So who knows? Maybe I'll try and get her on another stream and we can just reminisce about TFE in general. Because the saddest part of it is the fact that Flatsoid knows precisely nothing about Lisbeth. Never met her, never spoke to her. I have. And she's one of the nicest people I've met. Right? Yes, okay, even the fact that, you have this thing of flat earther versus globe earther, there wasn't any of that at all. She got on so well with everyone who was on the trip, and fucking do not bloody try and twist that. It's just as actual mature adults get on in terms of having conversations, just being able to communicate like adults with people who might have a different opinion than you do, and not sort of hold it against them and try and spin it at every possible turn. Evil producer for $4.99. DP has the right idea to rename for Catsoid to Ratsoid. I could think of some other suggestions for renaming, like Tango Whiskey Alpha Tangozoid as a possibility, because like I said, until he can actually back the claim up that we were all involved in it, or he can fucking redact it because he's just basically made personal defamatory attacks on 10 people. And then so the other thing I found absolutely hilarious about this, right, is where did it go? So the stream, Flatsoid was going over the stream in which he made these sort of remarks was, let me just bring this up here.
Commented,
right, so I'm writing a comment now.
When I comment, Dave McKeegan even.
He made the comments somewhere in this video. Let me just see if I can find.
He has an
about
issue with
anyway,
us
so
saying
I
there's
don't
a
know what they're
reason
talking about.
Lisbeth. No, he's got an issue that we're saying Lisbeth. There's a reason Lisbeth went with them on that trip.
Oh,
Oh, that's it.
And
Oh, I
because
got
the
you.
context,
Got
we
you.
were talking
Well,
about the picture we saw.
He's trying to again validate the claims that he's made about Lisbeth on this stream, right? Now, this stream, he's reviewing a video from a podcast with these two women on. They run a channel called So Cultured, and they've done a video about Flat Earth, right? They're only a very small channel, but they've done this video about Flat Earth, and Flatzoid immediately jumped on it and wound up commenting on the video. Oh, I think they've wound up removing the bloody comments. Oh no, that's Flatzoid's coverage of it. My bad. There we go. No. Where did it go? I'll find it now. So they did yes, they did this video about Flat Earth.
Right.
And Flatzoid immediately seemingly jumped in the comments here. Earth is 100% flat. If you ever want to talk about it, let me know. And then reviews their video a few hours later, then making these fucking remarks about Lisbeth, which I thought was hilarious. The fact that he's now making such ridiculous claims about a woman he's never spoke to, who also who agrees with him in as far as thinking the Earth is flat, and then is inviting, hey dude, Dave, unblock Flatzoid. I've not blocked Flatzoid. Flatzoid is not blocked on my channel. At least as far as I know, or as one of the mods wound up blocking him, I've certainly not. I don't want to fucking speak to him, but I've not blocked him. So yeah, I did just think it was hilarious that he's made all these remarks about Lisbeth, and then he's trying to invite two other women on who don't think the Earth is flat and want to go on, and then gets really annoyed when a load of people comment on the So Culture's podcast video to warn them not to go onto Flatzoid's channel because he's toxic. And then he gets annoyed that people call him toxic. After the fucking crap he's come out with about Lisbeth, he's now not happy. Bloody hell, talking about pot kettle black. Right, I can't see where the hell it gives me anything to do with blocking or unblocking people. And right now, trying to cheer up Flatzoid is the least of my bleeding concerns. So I will look into it, Steve, when I have a minute. Adam Lord for £10. Honestly, this is the first I've ever heard of this, and it's absolutely disgusting. This kind of thing affects people's personal life. It affects relationships, jobs, etc. I hope this has some consequences. Well, it may well do. I mean, yeah, it's definitely affecting, you know, there's not specifically Flatzoid here, but there's a lot of people who've, in fact, well, no, Flatzoid has said things about Jaren, but there's people who've done things to Jaren with personal things about him that, yeah, not particularly pleasant, and none of them would be particularly happy if it happened to them. And like I said, Lisbeth is, let's say, not particularly impressed with the things that Flatzoid has been saying about her. Yeah, and unless he's got some bloody good defense and proof to show, back up what he's been suggesting, then yeah, there may well be ramifications for him. Who knows? Rachel Clark for $2. Pretty woman exists. Weirdos. She's going to hell. That jump. Where did that go? Lee Fuller for $5. Lisbeth should sue for defamation. No reason to give this oxygen. It's a desperate grasp at fame. Oh yeah. I don't know whether he is. Well, I don't know if he's. I know the likes of. I know Nathan Oakley seemed to take a very similar thing where he used to have a calm demeanor about things and used to speak to people as though they were, mature adults, and then seemed to, according to Ranty, I think it was, he swung very much again into the sort of attacking people instead. Because I don't know if he found that got him more views or whatever. But yeah, he seemed to take that approach. I don't know if that's what Flatzoid is trying to gear at. Don't know. Jesus22 for 25 PLN. Dave, you expect logic from someone who thinks the world around and works according to his own imagination. I know, you can but hope. Crispy said for $10, why don't we call him by his cute little screen name anymore? His name is Keith Edwards and we call him by his real life name. He doesn't get to hide behind a moniker after making those despicable remarks. I'm like I said, well, I would say after this stream I don't want to deal with him anymore. I've got our video coming out because he doesn't understand how fucking pitch data works on aeroplanes. But beyond that, yeah, I don't want to be dealing with him after that until he can either prove what he suggested about me or redact what he suggested. I'll say about me because Lisbeth can take care of herself in dealing with him and Toon can take care of himself with dealing with him, but he's basically thrown this blanket out over we all needed a female companion to go, because apparently, yeah, I can't leave my house without a fucking female companion, apparently. Which, yeah, the sad thing is that he wouldn't be making those claims if he'd come to Antarctica with us. But he made no attempt to come to Antarctica with us. Probably because he knew what the bleeding result would be and knew that he couldn't answer it. I mean, he did, when I pointed that out to him on the stream, when I had the discussion with him on FTFE's channel, and I pointed out he could have tried to come with us. Will wasn't paying for him because Will was paying for Jaren instead. But he could have at least tried to crowdfund, shown willing. Even if he didn't get the money, Globy McGlobeface at least tried to go to Antarctica. He wanted to go. Flatzoid could have tried to crowdfund. Didn't want to. Said it was, what did he put it down to? That he didn't want to waste his time in Antarctica when he could have been on enjoying the holiday with his family. Now, he said holiday with his family. I don't know whether he meant the Christmas period or going away on holiday, but he was streaming nigh on every day that we were in Antarctica. He was still at his house. And yeah, so apparently staying at home, streaming about TFE is more important than going and seeing it for yourself. So that you would then know that it wasn't faked, rather than just making baseless accusations about it and spending weeks and months obsessing over it, watching endless videos from other people who all think that they found things because they can't read photo file names or anything. Timo Lynch for €5. Maybe Flatzoid found those pictures in the 11 missing frames. He could always show his evidence, of course. I guess we'll be waiting a while. Like I said, he says he's seen the picture on Jaren's stream. Now, he said they all saw the picture on Jaren's stream, which would imply that they were watching the stream when it happened. Flatzoid was timed out. Okay. Yes, but yes, it's quite amusing that he, talks about context and talks about the honesty and all that stuff, and yet he's openly admitted to removing at least 11 frames from a video of the Dragon capsule returning to Earth. conveniently, I don't know, he claimed it was for some artistic reasons. It was just quite convenient that it happened to be the 11 frames that it was gone out of view from behind Earth curve. He said it's some sort of a mirage, but quite how a craft sort of comes 3/4 of the way down a frame, down a field of view in like 3 or 4 frames, then disappears for 11 before the splash comes up. Quite how he thinks that 11 frames is needed for that tiny little mirage, who knows. Darnell K for $5. I just went over to that stream. What a bunch of nonsense. People over there just dropping N-bombs, no science discussed at all. No. None whatsoever. Which, yeah, I mean, it's just quite hilarious. They talk about science, have no idea what any of it is. It's quite funny hearing some of the stuff on... Not that I spend too much time listening to Nathan Oakley, but it is quite funny to just jump into his streams every now and again, listen for 30 seconds and see if he says anything that's actually correct. And so far, still haven't managed it. Yeah. All Oakley seems to say these days is just everything is, oh, but Earth's measured flat. It's not, but apparently Earth's measured flat because he can't work out how you get an angle from a curved surface. What's quite funny is he said, like, flat earthers say you can't get an angle from a curved surface. Apparently, it's impossible to work out angles from a curved surface. I would suggest that those people watch a game of snooker or pool, billiards, or something like that, where it's curved balls banging into curved balls, and strangely, the players can always work out exactly where the ball is the end ball within the sequence is going to wind up going. Apparently, without being able to work out the angle that the ball's going to hit the ball and send that other one off. Yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, I think he had it before. Oakley was on a stream before, and I'd listened for literally 60 seconds, and in the 60 seconds I got, he was asking somebody about curvature measurements, and the whoever it was, I think was Pro Globe, said, I can't answer that, I don't know. To which Oakley was like, okay, at least, thank you for acknowledging that. Then the guy asked him about why, if you go to the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, that you can watch the sunset from the ground floor, get in the elevator, go to the very top floor, and 4.5 minutes later, after you've travelled, he said 800 and something meters in elevation to the top of the building, you can then watch the sunset again. And all Oakley could say was, how high was the building? 800 and something meters. Well, that's a flat earth measurement because you can only get a measurement above sea level, and sea level needs a flat earth. Get a tape measure and stick it to the light bulb on the ceiling. Can you work out how high the light bulb is off the floor, even though the light bulb's got a curved surface? I could stick a tape measure against that globe and tell you how far it is off the floor, or how far it is from the surface of that globe to the ceiling. I could still work out that with a tape measure. Doesn't need the top of that to be flat. But yeah, that level of science is beyond them. They just go with... in fact, Flatsoid said that before. Flatsoid said something along the lines of... I think it was leveled horizontal and horizontal's flat. Indie Tigers Science, is that? I do apologise if it's wrong, it's cut off. For $10, ships crossing the ocean followed curved path to reach their destination. Because the Earth is a globe, no need to go to space to prove the Earth's a globe. No, people managed to work out the Earth was a globe 2,000 years ago with sticks and just looking at the stars. But, yeah, flat earthers will say that doesn't count. The lights in the sky don't tell you the shape of the ground. Coming from the same flat earthers who will say the fact that the stars don't change every night is proof the Earth isn't moving, who will say that the fact that you can watch the stars orbit around Polaris is apparently proof that the Earth is flat and the not moving, who, like I said, 8 years ago, D Marble flew to Alaska to watch the 24-hour sun in the north. Funnily enough, if you watch his video, in fact, you watch his video, I'm pretty sure I had it somewhere. I'll find it another time. If you go find D Marble's video of where he made the trip to Antarctica that he did, Alaska, he pulls up the AE map and he shows the sun circling around the North Pole, around the North Pole at the center, and then he went to Alaska to view it. So saw a hypothesis of the sun circling around the center of an AE map, formed the prediction of, well, in that case, I should be able to go to Alaska and see that happening. Okay, I'll go to Alaska and I'll see that happening. And funnily enough, 8 years ago, all the flat earthers were absolutely fine with that happening. It was a big talking point that D Marble had gone to Alaska and seen the 24-hour sun that was circling around the center of an AE map. But yeah, apparently the lights in the sky have only any relevance when it's pro-flat earth, not against flat earth. If it's anything against flat earth, don't expect them to try and shift their position to account for the new evidence. Expect them to throw that evidence in the bin and ignore it. Unless you're intellectually honest, which falls into the categories of Jeren and Patricia Steer and Robbie Davidson and Paul on the Plane and Nick Havoc and I keep forgetting Obsessed Patriot, or Ranty, STST, Rachy 5 Zeros, Amarel, list goes on. Icy Spin for $2. All in favor for Dave to play it again on stream. I think he made that in regards to the Toon top left video. So I'll tell you what, I'll put it as a poll. Should I play Toon's top left video? Yes, no, go. I'll give that a couple of minutes. I will let people decide for me. While I crack on with a few more. Petri, I believe that's pronounced, has gifted 10 memberships. So thank you very much for that, and welcome to the 10 people who now are fans of Rusty, whether you want to be or not. Doi First Doi for £5. Can you imagine if they sent ugly people to Antarctica? They offered a free trip to all the monsters. Oh. Well, I should be flattered that I got invited then, shouldn't I? It's a Rubik's for $2. If I'm here, NASA is watching. Keep the lies alive. Yes, don't worry, Rubik's. I'm, well aware. I've had NASA HR on the blower. I have also spoken to NASA HR about MC Toon's conduct with regards to the top left nomination rigging. Yeah, they're not happy with him. Turtle moves for £2. Dave is Doctor Who. He always travels with a female. Not always. Rusty's not female. We quite often go out with him. Not in that sense. I take him out for a walk. It's a Rubik's for $2. Flurfs are afraid of evidence because they have none. Yeah, pretty much. It's a can't explain it, then ignore it. Is the strategy of many of them. Derek the Dullard for £2. Has anyone from TFE spoke to Lisbeth since all of this? So I've had a few brief messages with her, but nothing sort of drastic. I took a load of photos while we were in Antarctica anyway. I've shown quite a few of them on the stream anyway, on previous streams. So I've took quite a few photos. There were some in there that I was taking pictures of everybody as well, just sort of documenting it all. When I'd finished editing them, I sent the folder to Will and showed him them all. he was in a Telegram group with all of the TFE lot. I wasn't on Telegram, so I just thought maybe I figured that I don't know if he was going to share it with everyone. Anyway, I since with them wound up on Telegram because I needed to speak to Jaren regarding the moon landing stuff and got put into the TFE group. So I messaged just to see if everyone had received them all and stuff, and Lisbeth said she hadn't. So I sent her the link, and she was. Yeah, other than that, I don't know what everyone else has spoken to her. And then, like I said, I messaged her regarding the fact that I was coming on stream tonight to deal with what Flatzoid said about her, and asked her if she wanted to come on here as well. Because I don't know if she's got a YouTube channel, but she's certainly not got one that I'm aware of. Any kind of big presence that even if she does have a channel that she could start live streaming and people be able to see her response to it. So I offered, like I said, for her to come on here to be able to sort of put a point across, but she declined. I don't really mind you. To be fair, I think I'd if it was those kinds of things being said about me, I'd be pretty pissed as well. So, Jiffy Cones for $5. Do you think Heath believes his own accusations and regrets the rejecting invite to TFE because he wants to sleep with a woman who isn't his wife? I am not going to speculate with regards to the last bit. Do I believe he believes his own accusations? No. Like I said, I think he's after a reason to discredit the people who went on TFE. He can't directly. He's tried and failed on multiple occasions to discredit the footage of TFE. He was going after apparent stitch lines within the video, which are part of the YouTube compression, because I went onto his stream and showed the actual video in Insta Studio. In fact, do you know what? Just because I'm going to load up Insta Studio and show everyone here as well, just because I can. So yeah, I think he's tried and failed on multiple occasions to try and come up with a valid way to discredit the footage, and that didn't work. So instead wound up going after the people, because there's that, if you can discredit the people, then you can automatically discredit the footage. You dismiss the footage even if there's actually nothing wrong with it. They kind of a lot of them take the same approach with the moon landings. They don't trust NASA, so they don't have to believe any of or say even the moon landings. They do it with NASA and all of the space footage. They go, NASA lie about everything, so we don't need to trust any of the videos that they put out showing that the Earth isn't flat. So I think that's probably why he's gone after Lisbeth, is because in essence he's gone after everybody. He had he can by default, all of them, they can by default dismiss everyone from the globe side because we're globers and evil people who do Masonic rituals in the middle of Antarctica because we've got nothing better to do with our bloody time. Then Jaren flipped so he could dismiss that, and then Austin's gone very quiet, so he could. I think he was already calling Austin a shill beforehand because he had ammunition on Austin from beforehand anyway. But then Jonathan and Lisbeth, pretty much unknown, so he wound up having Jonathan on his stream a few weeks back to chat to him about it. I don't think there was anything in particular that he could really nab on it, other than he'd been saying stuff that he used to work for Disney or Amazon Video, basically used to apparently work for production companies. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Here's Insta360 Studio with, let me get that a bit bigger. Here we go, yeah. There's Insta360 Studio with the 24-hour sun going around. You know, no stitch lines, nothing wrong with anything there. Nope. All just perfect 360-degree video footage of a sun doing something that it shouldn't do on a flat Earth. And then I know Flatzoid also, just for giggles, likes to say that he thinks the sky's been rendered. So since he's apparently watching this anyway, since he thinks that the sky's been rendered in Unreal Engine, there's a direct comparison between my camera's 360 and Will's camera's 360, and I would ask him, if the sky's been rendered, why is the sun and the speckles on it all different? I mean, for starters, they're little dust spots which are coming off the lens guard that's on the front of there. In fact, can I get my 360? Is this going to work now, or is it still going to be frozen? It looks like it's still frozen. Let me just try and fix that quickly. Let's see if I can get this to do anything. I am still here. In fact, I should probably... Ah! There we go. Right. I'll throw that into studio mode before I do anything stupid like that again. Because I could probably show you the dust spots that appear on this. Because if I can show you the dust spots appearing on this, how are they appearing on the video? Activate, reactivate, configure. It's just thrown its spanner in. No, it's not going to play ball. It's typical. It was working fine before when I tried it, and suddenly now it's got an audience and I need it to work. It's decided no. Yeah. Discard. Anyway. Sorry, dog. Did I disturb you? Let me get that out of the way. There we go. So yes, the little specks there are off the dust spots on the lens guard. And in fact, there's... What the hell was that there? Just a little bit of lens flare or something popping up on the top of mine that strangely doesn't appear on the top of Will's. Now, if the sky was rendered using Unreal Engine or anything else like that, both of those skies would be identical. The sun wouldn't be distorting for starters, because we'd have rendered a sun, not something that's going to distort because of a 360 camera. But if it was going to distort because of a 360 camera, the distortions would be identical in both cameras, and they're not. But I doubt he's actually going to address any of that because, you know, he can't. I've done that again, haven't I? I've not shared the screen. Do apologise, everybody. I'm just... Yeah. Well, you know, Rusty was more... You know, more people want to watch Rusty anyway. So, yeah, like I said, these dust spots here are... well, these spots here that don't appear here. This is like the shittest sort of spot the difference that you've ever seen, isn't it? Well, little bits of lens flare there. Now, you would only get lens flare if there was actually light shining at the camera lens. If it was rendered afterwards, they wouldn't be appearing on there. And even if we'd artificially added them in, they'd be the same in both cameras. But they're not. And like I said, the sun would be distorting the same in both videos, and they're not. Which, funnily enough, was one of the plans that we'd had. Roger Ledwell, I've just noticed the name of this bullshit stream. No, I think it's a pretty accurate one, actually, Roger. Because, yeah, I mean, you know, saying the kinds of things that Flatzoid has said is a whole new level of low that I didn't think. Saying the kinds of things that Flatzoid has said is low anyway, but to say them about other flat earthers just because they went to Antarctica and saw something you don't like the look of, which it's okay Roger, because apparently you're meant to be trying to go to here yourself so that you can see it for yourself. I just only hope that if you do actually manage to get there, that that you've got the intellectual honesty after you see it to turn around and go, oh, yeah, there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and that doesn't work on a flat Earth. Gary I.O., these twats have no idea how photography works. Yes, photography is an element that does seem to go missing. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people who don't know how photography works, but the difference is most of the people who don't know how photography works don't try claiming that they do. But, yeah, so. Right, now I'll bring the dog back up. I'm the Craig, is that? Again, it's cut off. I'm the Craig has become a fan of Rusty as well. Welcome, Craig. Pat in the chat for $2. Rusty, go for a walk. Good boy. It's going to take more than that, I'm afraid. He doesn't get up for more than a tenner. Lou for £5. Rusty's asleep in his chair so deep while Dave debunks flat earth, no sleep. The world's round, Rusty's dreaming, chasing bones, not intervening. Chasing balls, not frisbees. Yeah. Right. I can't even see it. So, where are we at with the poll? It's only been running for 13 minutes. There's been 380 votes already, and we're at 381 votes now. I just stopped it at. What was that apart from a pretty resounding yes? 76% of people would like me to play Toon's top left nomination video. So, well, okay. I'm sure Toon, if he's watching, won't be happy about this, but it's been requested, so therefore I've got no choice. So here we go. Hello everybody, hope you're doing well, and thanks for joining us for a video that I never thought I'd be making. The top left nomination video for our very own Mr. MC Toon, courtesy of my daughter. She might have a top left nomination. Hang on. Who's the silliest person you know?
Right, is she pointing to me?
Which one did she point at?
Now, when I first realised that I was going to have to make this video, I thought this was going to be an impossible task. How could I make a top left nomination video for our very own MC Toon? But then the more I thought about it, I recalled some gems of wisdom that he's come out with, such as this.
I saw the 24-hour sun at night. Oh, wait. That's a street light.
Or this.
The sun will heat up the water, and then there's water in the air, and there's salt in the air.
And this one.
Did you know that sodium is the major cation?
We can't forget this one.
3D glasses are amazing. Even my popcorn looks 3D.
Or this.
And I learned everything I know about physics from Facatzoid.
And this one.
I've invented a new diet where I can have whatever food I want without any calories. I lick the packet and put it back.
We can't forget this one.
It makes the sunset.
Or any of these.
Because it warms up the water and it puts water in the air. Rockets don't go up, they push the Earth down. I don't know. If you think that there's other people that should be ministries, then you let me know. The Earth cannot be going 15 degrees per hour. It would have been melted by now. It's longer than that. I'm good.
Oh, we can't forget this one.
That's true. I can't read.
This is a man who even once forgot his own name, and who seemingly struggles to tell the difference between a person and a potato.
To know is a girth or a potato, check it out.
So I guess there's only really one thing left to be said, but it doesn't really feel right coming from me. I think it should come from the person who is responsible for starting all of this.
Vote to top left.
Now, surely you're not going to argue with that, are you? Hello. Done it again. Apologies, everybody. I got distracted because I saw MC Toon is in the chat. Toon, I'm just pointing out here that everyone's... Is it... Are we working now? People are saying it's still muted. Still muted? Oh, right, okay. Jesus Christ. Yeah, great picture quality, poor sound management. I agree, but I brought Rusty in to be the sound engineer, and this is what he does. Right. I'll apologise, and I will try this once again. MC Toon is in the chat. Now, I would like to point out that the description here, one view is one vote. Dave McKean for top. I'll do top left of sound engineering, absolutely. One thumbs up, however, is minus 10 votes. Now, that is the only one of the top left videos that has that particular setup. The rest of them is one view, one vote, one thumbs up, 10 votes. So Toon's rigged the voting. Apparently, Toon's not happy with the strategy that I employed with this video. He's not happy with the tactics that I employed. So he's employed his own tactics of rigging the voting system, and then not only rigging the voting system, but going around and actively encouraging people to not only watch this video, but also give it a thumbs up as well. So which is quite funny, because that's exactly the kind of behavior that would probably, but if a flat earther were to do that kind of manipulation, they'd get themselves nominated for top left. So ironically, to try and avoid being top left, he's doing the kind of things that top left would do. Icy Spin confirmed none of the MC2 videos were taken out of context. Hey, I never claimed they were in context. I would, however, I do appreciate there are a lot of people who, one, aren't happy the fact that the ending is what it is, or that two, the videos were arguably not in their full context. So I would like to... I'll lighten the stream up now. We've had enough of the garbage. So with regards to Rusty and my daughter and the ending, that is Rusty's chair. You can see quite clearly, right? That's Rusty's chair. That's where Rusty sits. Okay, so Rusty being in his chair, that's just a given, right? I didn't nominate MC Toon for top left. My daughter nominated him for top left. So, you know, she needed to be in the video because it was her nomination. I couldn't be the one to turn around and say at the end, vote Toon for top left, because she was the one that nominated. Now, in terms of the you can't be hugging Rusty, which was DPD Bunks said that one regarding it. So I'm just going to show that video for clarification that, you know, all their choice, right? She's constantly hugging Rusty. So strategic it may have been to say, go and sit on that chair, because I kind of figured that Rusty's going to be sitting on there as well. But the hug was entirely voluntary. Now, with regards to the context of the clips, because, you know, like I particularly like, for example, my personal favorite one of all of them is the one that I kind of didn't actually set up. Because yeah, some of those were super chats, shall we say. Oh, Val makes a good point. Yeah, don't blame Toon for cheating. He never promised democracy. It's dictatorship. He accepts bribes. So, well, here's the thing. Because he's not happy about the fact that several of the things that were said in that video were stuff that he was reading out on a super chat, several of which may or may not have been stuff that I'd super chatted for him. Which, yeah, I paid him to say those things, which could be argued as a form of bribery. Bribery was actively encouraged by MC Toon. So really, he can't get annoyed at me because I was just following the rules. Then there was... yeah, the funniest one for me, though, was all of them was when he said, "That's true, I can't read." Which... you could argue was in context or out of context. I mean, he may or may not have just been told to put his his sunglasses on because of the UV light in Antarctica, and he was trying to point out that he couldn't read the screen, but he left a hell of a big gap after "I can't read." So, I mean, to anybody else, he's just openly admitted he's unable to read. Yes, and Val points out that other people super chatted him. Granted, I may have been the one to put in the chat to encourage people to super chat him to get him to say those things, but I suggested it. I didn't make people do it. That is a point, actually. Somebody's pointing out is where's Toon gone? I need to make him a mod. I don't feel it's justified given the. I'm not entirely sure it's justified given his behaviour regarding the voting system, but it's questionable. There we go. Modded MC Toon. Yeah, so there were some super chats that may have been things that he was encouraged to say for the purpose of the video, but I do feel there needs to be some degree of handicap applied to this because I feel it's unfair, right? I mean, you could call them underhand tactics, right? But as far as I'm concerned, it was my daughter who nominated him. I didn't nominate MC Toon. She nominated MC Toon. She's her own person. She made her own decisions. I don't know why. I'm not going to hold it against her. I'm just going to do what any good father would do and support her in every way that I can to try and help her win try and help her nomination win top left. And right now, MC Toon's underhanded tactics are trying to screw her over. So, as a father, I'm going to be protective of my daughter as well. So yeah, I was just being a father and trying to support my daughter with making the video. So I'm trying to go through the chat as keep every. So yeah, she made the decision to vote for him. I didn't encourage her to do it. Like I asked her, who's the silliest person you know, thinking she was going to suggest me. I never for 1 second thought she was going to point to the people on the screen. But then also, please do bear in mind here that there were several people who were making these top left nomination videos, right? And they were making them about, well, flat earthers mostly. But just do consider for a moment here the let's say the available supply of top left viable material, i.e. everybody else who was making videos are basically being spoon-fed an endless stream of material to use in their videos. Where's Wally, who was in the chat a minute ago, was even commenting, because he was making his top left nomination video about Flatzoid, was saying that he couldn't keep up with the material that Flatzoid was giving him to use in his video. How the hell am I meant to find footage, top left viable footage for Toon? I mean, granted, there were some which, weren't prompted by him. All right, he might have been mimicking flat earthers, but, they were still him of entirely his own accord. But I feel there needs to be a little bit of leeway here for me, because I was basically fighting against the tide. Wally's still here. That's good. So yes, I do feel it's a bit unfair to just attack the tactics that I've employed with the video when I was sort of at a disadvantage from the outset. And like I said, I didn't ask for the job. I just got handed the responsibility by somebody I couldn't say no to. Crispy said for $5, the accusations of you manipulating your audience with your daughter's adorableness are unfounded and accurate. I will not have that. Exactly. I can't help that she is adorable, right? I mean, okay, you could say I'm half responsible for her being adorable, but really not. Sarcastic she is. She's getting that much off me for absolutely. But yeah, the rest of it was entirely her own accord. So I asked her to come and sit on the chair and said, could you say this? Because she was the one that nominated it. And I did actually have to explain to her and say, do you remember when you were in my office when I was working and you pointed at the man on the screen? And she does. She remembers it. So, it's clearly a conscious decision. She remembers voting for Toon. Yeah, so she made that decision. I had to just explain to her that I needed to film her saying vote Toon top left, because it was her nomination, not mine. I need to get a wider chair to fit him on. Rachel Clark for $2. Proving globe is super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh yeah, basically proves itself. Gary IO for £5 is the check for MC Toon Live in the post through Dave. The only thing MC Toon is going to be receiving through the post is his P45 from NASA, because they are not happy with his tactics. In fact, there was suggestions that he was going to get demoted and working under Bill Nye. And then Val for £5. Speaking about top left, you may want to change the screen setup. Rusty deserved to be there. Well, I didn't have him there. I had it the other way round. It was me on the left hand side of the screen, and Rusty in the chat was on. So I was there, and that was here. And then I got asked to flip it round, because every time I looked over at Rusty, otherwise I'd be looking off the screen, and yeah, so unless I put the chat in the top left, but then that would be Toon. 'Twas a typo, too late to change it now. Oh yes, absolutely. I forgot that it's everybody is aware that that there is no facility within YouTube to edit descriptions. Absolutely not. I really need to speak to him about that. Is this feud or dissatisfaction real between MC Toon and Dave? Well, I mean, it could well be. I'm not sure Toon's entirely forgiven me for the orgy remarks I made about him on his stream in Punta Arenas. But no, seriously, it's top left's supposed to be a joke. I don't know. Toon said that the whole top left thing is just a joke and it's not to be taken seriously. Although he seems very desperate to avoid winning the joke award that he laid out. Because not only at the moment the voting setup, I mean, I've not actually seen the numbers, but he gave an update on the stream the other day. He said, well, Flatzoid is currently winning top left because his video. I don't know the like numbers, but his video has the most views. I think there are about 1,000 views more than the Toon video. But Toon's video is comfortably second in terms of the viewership. And yet, according to Toon, who's the only one who's actually got the numbers of views and then the fudged like minus plus or minus scores, reckons that his video's not even in the top 5, which is suspicious. So, yeah, some shady numbers going on, and it's particularly. I think it's unfair anyway, because there's a clear conflict of interest here. Because amazingly, Flatzoid is seemingly currently winning the top left voting system. MC Toon was backing Flatzoid, so. But MC Toon is one of the nominees within the whole thing. So one of the nominees is backing another one of the nominees, and amazingly, that nominee is winning. Sus, I'll let you be the judge. But yeah, all I will say is, for any of the 800, nearly 900 people who are still watching, if you are not happy about it, like I said, just go and keep basically playing this video in the chat. Go and play it on repeat. Do not like it. If you've liked it, go and unlike it. And we'll see how many we can get up to. It'd be funny if there was at least more views than Flatzoid, which, like I said, after Flatzoid's recent antics, I'm not entirely sure he even deserves to win it. Jay Donacci for $5. Flatzoid said, what Flatzoid said about Lisbeth was terrible. What do you expect from a person that believes the archaic parts of the Bible, like earth and women? Well, I'm not. No, I'm. Probably, I wouldn't even go. Not even sure I'd kind of fully agree with that, Jay, because there's other people who there's lots of other flat earthers who believe those sorts of aspects of the Bible, who I've never heard come out with remarks like that. And like I said, I'm not entirely convinced that he believes any of it. I think it's just out of desperation of needing some way of discrediting Lisbeth, with no regard for the impact that it's going to have. It's just a way to try and validate to himself and his audience that he can't discredit the footage. He's got nothing to discredit the footage. He's tried and failed. So, yeah, I think he's tried and failed to go after the footage. So instead, he's got to go after the individuals, which is kind of what a lot of flat earthers have been doing with Jaren. I think a reason a lot of the flat earthers have turned on Jaren the way they have is, or not even so much like Jaren, but if you look, they've also sort of, people have gone on against Patricia Steele and Robbie Davison and Paul on the Plane, who've all flipped since. Mark Sargent was coming out the other day giving accusations against them, which has wound up with a cease and desist letter being dealt to him. But I think a lot of the attacks on them is because I think, consciously or not, they have to try and discredit those people, because if they don't come out with a way of discrediting those people, then that means they have to turn around and say, okay, these people have actually sort of gone against or changed their mind about something that I believe is true. Then they kind of have to open themselves up to the possibility that they might be wrong about it. And I don't think their egos are going to let them do it. Bill Tetley, $5. If thumbs up is negative, then using the inverse law, thumbs down must be positive, so everyone should vote down, right? Logic would say that that is the case. But I can't confirm nor deny because I'm not the one that's making up the rules as I go along. So, Toon, if you're still in chat, could you confirm, is there any way that people could be getting positives for watching or anything that they can do other than watching your nomination video to get plus votes? I mean, I am, to be fair, I'm surprised that he's still left the view as a vote rather than a negative for that one as well. JD63 for $20. I'm taking this very seriously. Tune for top left before flat for Catzoid. Yep. FPVXTC for $8 Australian. Ratzoid should have his top left nomination removed and placed in the bottom of the sewer nomination. Tune for top left. Emma the legend. Nico and some are pitching their top left videos and want to win. Doesn't get more top left than that. Go Nikos. I was speaking. I went on to DP Debunk's stream this morning, and he mentioned about Nico's one. He said he'd emailed Nico. I think he's basically reached out to Nico and said, would you help with this? And he turned around and basically was all up for it. Which is, it's a good sport on Nico's account. I know I poked. Do you know what? I genuinely can't work out what to make of Nico either. I can't work out because either he's a very, very good sport or he's a po. I don't know. I know my first interaction with him was when not long after I got back from Antarctica, and he wound up debating Craig FTFE about the fact that I had all of the footage on hand, and I'd only just got back. I hadn't had the chance to even put up. I'd put up the like 48-second time lapse. I don't even think by that point I'd done that in the flight, but I hadn't even had a chance to publish the full 25-minute 360 time lapse, like the one that you can actually look around everywhere that I showed before. Nanyu Po is basically someone who's just like a parody thing. He's just doing it for attention, but isn't actually a genuine flat earther if you catch. I know Toon just said reposted, but I'm not entirely sure as to what's reposted. Oh, unfortunately, YouTube doesn't give numbers on thumbs down. Oh well. Which isn't entirely accurate. It does give numbers for thumbs down. All you'd need to do is go into your studio, go on to content, and then in the right-hand side where it likes or dislikes, you hold the cursor over it, and it will tell you. For example, I know that the Rusty only live stream that I did yesterday has 240 thumbs ups and 4 thumbs down. Apparently 4 people weren't happy with watching a dog sleeping on a chair. So yeah, don't give me any of that garbage, Toon. You're fully aware of how many have got of thumbs downs if you wanted to. So yeah, in terms of Nico, I wound up having basically a debate with him, where he was saying that we shot it all in the big LED studio, and then I pulled up the time lapse that I hadn't had a chance to publish. I think it was already uploaded, but it wasn't set to go live until like 12 hours later. So I wound up pulling it up on Insta Studio and showing him the full 360 and showing him us getting into a truck and driving off down the road, and he got very annoyed and rage quit after that. So that made me think he was genuine, absolutely, definitely a flat earther. But yeah, then I'm not entirely sure, because then he made all the comments regarding, like, apparently because Masons have a ritual where they take their shoes off, and the picture that he found relating to that happens to show a left shoe off, implying that you take a left shoe off as part of a Masonic ritual. And then because I put a left boot under a table that I wasn't ever wearing, is apparently proof that I'm a Mason. So when we did the TFE Rewind stream on the Final Experiment channel, I intentionally grabbed one of my boots and put it under the desk. I grabbed my left boot and put it under the desk. And then, I, unbeknownst to me, I'd got it and put it under the desk. And then it turned out Nico was in the chat as well. So when I did my introduction, I was like, I see Nico's in the chat. I've got my left boot right here. And he actually found it very funny and was playing along with it. So, yeah, I wasn't entirely sure what to make of him. But if it's good that they're good sports about it, and some I didn't realize he was steering into it as well. It's just a shame he can't not move the goalposts regarding what he'd said about the sun setting south of us in Chile, because he was absolutely right. The sun setting south in Chile, it debunks the globe before we'd ever left to go to Antarctica, and he could have verified that beforehand anyway, because he's on stream regularly with Flatzoid, who's south of the tropics, and yet he himself can see the sun south. So they could have worked it out amongst themselves, but they didn't. Oh, the Obsessed Patriot, $20. Hey Dave, it's me. The Pressure Gradient video brought back. This is the least I can do in gratitude. This and reverse the effects. No flat earther has ever become a better person. Yeah, we believe it does. You didn't really need to do that, Patriot. It's but thank you anyway. Yes, for anyone unaware, Obsessed Patriot is now an ex-flat earther who has seen the light, basically. There was one of my videos I did, I think, regarding gas pressure, and there was just one little thing I'd mentioned within that just sort of got the puzzle pieces to fit into place for him, and he's realised that the whole argument of needing a container for gas pressure is irrelevant, because there is something that's causing gas to go down, given the fact that there's more gas pressure low down than there is high up. So it's like that. I think the argument would be like, you need if you had a helium balloon and you let go of the balloon, you would need a ceiling to stop it from, heading straight off into the sky. Fine. But you get a regular balloon and let go, it just naturally sinks. It doesn't matter whether there's a roof over your head or not. The balloon's not trying to escape. Neither is the gas down here, or say not trying to escape. It's not able to escape, because if it was, it would be going up already. There would be more gas higher up. Planes would be flying low to the ground, not high up in the air, because they'd be trying to avoid the thick air. Val for £2. Dave, I made Flatzoid say to vote for himself live. Oh, good on you, Val. But I think I appreciate it. I would have preferred it more if you'd said vote soon. But thank you. Fraser, how does SpaceX flights not totally destroy flat Earth? They do, as long as you actually acknowledge that they happen, which is where flat earthers then sort of, veer off, and they go. I think they basically have the flipped logic of, rather than going, here's all the evidence, what is the conclusion that fits best all of that evidence, which is what what Jaren did. He looked at all of the evidence and went, all of the evidence fits the globe better than a flat Earth, therefore I'm going to go with the Earth as a globe until I see otherwise. Which is something I'd actually said to him in when we were in Punta after we got back, because you could kind of tell afterwards, like you could see he was trying to process everything and trying to come to grips with everything. Of his whole world has literally been flipped upside down, and I think part of it he was concerned about the reaction from people with him coming out and saying the Earth's not, now saying the Earth's not flat. And I had to point out to him, I was like, science is draw the conclusion from the evidence you've got. Turning around now and saying you think the Earth is a globe is not you cementing of that is it. It is absolutely the Earth is a globe and I'm never changing my mind again, because you've changed your mind once before. It's right now, all the evidence you've got points to a globe fits best, which is, no different than currently what I'm at. Everything that I see points to a globe. Unless if somebody can turn around and show me a flat Earth model that can completely fit every piece of evidence that currently exists, as well, if not better than the globe, then, I could turn around and say, okay, I'm prepared to entertain the notion that the Earth could be flat. But currently, there's nothing other than echo chambers of flat Earth that's going, it's measured flat. I can't answer anything about how anything we can see, can't explain any of that on a flat Earth, or we don't live in an orthographic view. That's another hilarious one that they point out. Basically, you do any diagram or anything to try and show something to make things easier for people to understand. Yeah, there's big flat Earth names that don't like you breaking things down for their audience to understand. So they go, that's not true. We don't live in an orthographic view. Which is funny because orthographic views work perfectly fine for blueprints of the buildings that they say need a flat Earth. But, yeah, so it's just another one of those. If it works in favor of flat Earth, they're all for it. If it's the same logic used against them, they really don't. Meat permits for $5. I don't think Nico is a good sport or a Poe. I think he's a person who believes that there is no such thing as bad publicity. I don't know. Well, one thing he did say to me. Did he say it to me in the debate? I've definitely heard him say it. I'm sure he said it to me. I think it was actually. I think it was in the FTFE video before he got irate and rage quit. Where he basically said he believes in God, or he believes in the Bible. The Bible says the Earth is flat, and a 24-hour Antarctic sun doesn't work on a flat Earth. Therefore, the Antarctic sun we must have faked the sun because it can't exist on a flat Earth. Which is basically kind of what I was sort of getting at before anyway. That I think flat earthers take the wrong approach. They don't look at all the evidence and then draw the best conclusion based on all of the evidence. They start at their conclusion and then cherry pick out the evidence that suits them. If it's something that they can spin to fit their conclusions, they'll happily go with it. If it's something they can't, they will dismiss it. But they will only, and you can tell because they will happily accept certain aspects when they think it fits their conclusions. And the moment you show that it doesn't actually fit their conclusions, then they dismiss it. Which I suspect might well happen soon because I'm doing a video about aircraft pitch data. Flat earthers are raving at the moment about aircraft pitch data, convinced that it proves the Earth is flat. So I'm doing a video breaking down how aircraft pitch data is actually established. I even went out and bought a little gyroscope, a toy gyro to demonstrate with it. And kind of the video is going towards the end is going to be showing how the pitch indicators on a plane actually have systems to correct back to vertical because it's traveling around the globe, that if the Earth were flat, they wouldn't need them. So the very fact that they have those corrections in there is because the Earth isn't flat. So it wouldn't surprise me if once that video goes, many of the people who are saying pitch data proves the Earth's flat will suddenly then go, pitch data doesn't prove anything. We'll just ignore it. Jay Donacci, where is Rusty? Currently flaked out on the floor. I'll see if I can. I'm going to try this one more bloody time. See if I can get this damn thing to work. Because, like I say, it says switching to webcam mode. It's in webcam mode, but then for some reason, let me get studio mode up here. Let's see what I can. It's just not working. And it's very annoying. I'm trying to get this to work because Rusty's on the floor and I want to show you Rusty. And if I... Ah, there we go. So, here we go. There we are. Streamed with a 360 camera. And yeah, there's... Oh, look, there's all that dust I was talking about before. That's... And ghosting that's appearing on it because it's got lens guards on it. There we go. So there's Rusty down there. There we go. I mean, I could just leave that there, but then I'd have to then stream like this, and it's very uncomfortable for me. I sold the 74 for $2. Everything about you is so amazing. Actually, I quite like that one. I'd take my left boot off for you, but, you know, I've already been called out with that one. JD63 for $5. Quick, Dave, go take Rusty's chair. I could go and sit on it if you want. He'll probably jump up, be all over me. Let me try this one out. In fact, tell you what, let me throw it on. No, right, okay. It's froze again. Okay, so apparently OBS doesn't like it if you... Apparently OBS doesn't like it if for some reason you go off the stream. Right. Let's try this. Rust. Hello. Yep, hello. Yep, okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Right, okay. Sorry. There we go. I thought I'd better just jump back in because if anybody just suddenly joins this live stream, they're just going to see a person on a chair with a dog climbing all over him. It's not going to make much sense. So, yeah. Plus, he's now back in the correct spot, so people can see him. Right. Jesus22 for 25 PLN. Science is an attempt to understand and describe reality without paying attention to one's belief or faith. Exactly. Leave faith and preconceptions out of it. The problem is that fundamental rule one of doing science is you have to be prepared to admit you might be wrong about something. And like I said, it's a case of if you can't explain something with your preconceived ideas that something else can explain better, you have to be open to the possibility that you were wrong and the other thing's right, and you shift your position to go with what fits best until you have something that can prove it better. Rather than, yeah, just ignore it and hope it goes away. But, you know, is what it is. And then Mystery Man has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Mystery Man. So yes, 5 more people are now fans of Rusty again, maybe against their will. Mars Science for $5. I learned a lot bit from your vids, but I continue to wonder why you keep doing this, trying to convince people of something we've known for centuries. Basically because, I mean, there's a twofold aspect to this. Is it's not necessarily convincing people what's that? I'll get back to that in a second. I had a phone call. Has Dave doubled down on his Punta Arenas Southern Sun debunking the globe? Did I say it debunked the globe? I meant debunks flat Earth. I can explain it on a globe. I can't. Nobody can explain it on a bloody flat Earth. Mars Science, yes. So one aspect is there's the obsessed patriot, for example, people who are way down, who are down the rabbit hole of flat Earth, but aren't against being rescued. I mean, Jaren is the prime bleeding example right now. Jaren and like Patricia Steer and Robbie Davidson and Paul on the Plane and Nick Havoc, who are all like long established flat earthers. So it's not that they're not against it. It's sometimes you get a mental block and you get confirmation bias, and everybody is guilty of it. Even, for example, like you may have heard FTFE. FTFE and Jaren were talking the other day. He did a sort of FTFE always does interviews with ex-flat earthers, and Jaren's the big one he's now got. And there was some talk about FTFE accepting he was wrong about something, and Jaren kind of beforehand had dismissed everything about Craig because he just thought he was, taking the piss and not taking everything seriously. And then when Craig admitted he was wrong about something, that kind of opened his eyes a bit more with Jaren. And from memory, the thing that they were referring to is that I think it was something along the lines of traveling perfectly east and west in circles. Like, I think basically FTFE was claiming that, like, that if you'd wind up, you could basically fly around one fixed latitude. If you were flying east, you just fly around one fixed latitude. And they'd had an argument about this they'd had a heated discussion about it on a stream. And Jaren was saying, no, that's not the case. FTFE was convinced he was right, and he wound up messaging me afterwards on Discord and asking me to basically validate to him that what he was saying was right. And I was like, no, it's not. I was like, I don't think it is. And he was like, no, it is. It's got to be. And I was like, well, no, because if that was right, then a satellite like the ISS would be flying around one fixed latitude. It's not. It's having to fly in an orbit between north and south latitudes. And the moment I said that, suddenly that twigged it with Craig, and he was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. He just hit a mental block that he kind of grabbed at a misconception and not been able to see it because he clouded his own judgment until somebody pointed it out to him in some way that helped it sort of see the bigger picture, which is the analogy that I've been using recently for flat earthers. It seems to be that, like, trying to see that the earth is a globe, it is like having a jigsaw puzzle box that you've just thrown all the pieces on the floor and you're trying to put it together, but they're just the pieces. You can't see what the picture is, and you're trying to piece these pieces together. And whenever you're making a jigsaw, you'll hit a point somewhere where you just put a piece into place, and suddenly the picture you start to be able to see the big picture without the rest of the pieces. And I think it's that with flat earthers is there's just something somewhere for each particular individual, one particular jigsaw piece, that the moment you put that into place, everything else suddenly falls into place for them, and they can see that big picture. So there are some individuals who are wholly open to that and will take on board what you say and are actually trying to work things out for themselves. And they're the flat earthers that those videos are targeting. I can't make people pay attention to the videos. All I can do is give them the information and leave it up to them as to whether they're going to pay attention to it or not. Obsessed Patriots pointed out that, at least for what the reason it was one of my videos that he found helped him, is because he couldn't really stomach watching other debunkers because they tend to go more at poking fun of flat earth, whereas I was just putting the information out, which again is, like I said, is just, I'll give the information and leave it there for people to use it if they want. Even if down the rabbit hole flat earthers aren't prepared to pay attention to it, you are still going to find people who aren't familiar with flat earth, who don't know it. Every flat earther in existence right now has never didn't just hear someone go, the earth's flat, and then turn around and go, oh, okay, well, the earth's flat then. Everybody now, you get them to sort of, you get anybody who doesn't know anything about flat earth and tell them that the earth's flat, or that people think the earth is flat, and they immediately start going, well, how do they explain this, or how do they explain that? So straight away they're in a mindset of, like, how does all of this stuff work? Only once they've started to get answers that flat earthers have given them do they then go, oh, they've actually got an answer for it. I don't think they truly digest the answer that they've been given. They don't break it down and think, well, how does that work? How would that work? Critically analyze it. I think they just say it thinking that the flat earther won't have an answer for it. And when they do, they go, oh, they've actually got answers for all of this. Oh, maybe that is something. And then they start to fall down the rabbit hole. So I think me doing the videos is more a case of also getting the information and the debunks of flat earthers' arguments out there, so that anyone who's coming in new to flat earth might see these claims from flat earthers, but then hopefully sees my videos as well, and it makes them sort of reconsider it and go, well, actually, before they just go headlong down the slope of flat earther video, flat earther video, flat earther videos, and then before they know it, they're way too far down to get themselves back out. Hopefully, my videos can help with that. And if all else fails, even if no flat earther pays any attention to it anyway, I still regularly get people who will comment and say, I don't believe for 1 second that the earth is flat, but I always learn something new from your videos. So either way, it's wins all round for me, so I don't mind. Stealth Gun 5 for €11. Do you have any idea why Witsit is now saying TFE is fake and holding on to flat earth? Did he talk to you about it down in Antarctica or Chile? Love the streams, keep it up. That's news to me. What's he been saying regarding it being fake? Because well, he was in Antarctica, saw it wasn't fake. I've only seen him on, I think he possibly did a stream afterwards on Jaren and Lisbeth did a stream on Jaren's channel altogether, which he wasn't saying it was fake. I saw he posted, because I was having a look out of curiosity the other day as to has he actually posted anything, and he's done nothing. After Jaren sort of publicly rejected flat Earth, he was doing Globebusters. Jaren basically was Globebusters by that point, with other people on as well, but he was the main one. So obviously he left that, and he said Austin's taken over Globebusters, and I've not seen Austin on any of them. It's all been Alan from Space Audits and somebody else. So yeah, I've not seen him coming out and saying it's fake there. He did a stream, I think a few weeks back, where he called it something like it's not flat, but then it turned out he wasn't actually saying it's not flat. He's not let go of flat Earth, I don't think. So, and they did that roundtable thing on Kingdom in Context, which actually, I mean, I only skim through it. I don't tend to, there's that many videos. I don't have a chance to watch them all. I tend to just sort of skim through bits and pieces, and more often than not, I found myself reading the transcripts of videos because I can read it quicker than playing it back. Can kind of just skim over them. Stealth Gun, I thought he was on a stream with Flatsoy talking about it. No, so I think you might be referring to the whole Vapegate thing. Potentially. So he was having arguments with Flatsoid after TFE because of the whole people accusing him of faking his breath using a vape, and he was trying to claim that he didn't, even though that was before the full 360 videos had come out. And actually, when you look at it, he did have a vape beforehand. So what you see on camera as a breath is more residual vape than his actual sort of natural breath. But it didn't disprove anything. I think he's just gone very quiet. It seems more like he's in a position where he can't deny the 24-hour sun because he saw it, but he also can't explain it on a flat Earth because it doesn't work. But potentially he's just not quite prepared to let that go. He's not quite prepared to say the Earth can't be flat. I don't know if he's maybe holding out for hoping that somebody's going to come along and come up with some tangible, workable explanation as to how it might work on a flat Earth. Possibly he's also seen the responses that people have been throwing at Jaren and doesn't want to be facing that kind of backlash. So I don't know, but he's gone very quiet. But I do know, I think I saw on Twitter the other day, he'd responded. Somebody said something about passport stamps relating to TFE, and Austin actually put a photo of the Antarctica passport stamp from his passport up to show that he's got one. So it doesn't seem like I've not seen him say anything to suggest that he's trying to call it fake. I think he's more just sort of 9/10 of the way to becoming a ex-flat earther, but isn't quite prepared to just make that commitment yet. So I don't know. I sold the 74 for $2. Flats has made it clear he's less than Bilgewater. So Tyson Dogs, Dave, have you seen the guy Mind Duck through 3050 who claimed in Cat's channel he have the theory of everything which proved the laws of motion wrong? I think I saw. I haven't watched it. I think I saw the stream about something about the theory of everything on Katz's, but I didn't have a chance to watch it. But that sounds like a fun one I might have to watch when I get time. Where am I here? Meat permits, $2. I didn't buy 2 cameras because of your videos. Nope. Not entirely sure if that's. I might need a bit more context as I didn't do that. Oh, there we go. Meat permits for $2. Oh shit! I bought a drone, also 3. Oh, okay. So, well, if you're buying stuff because of me, I do apologise. Unless you like it, in which case you're welcome. Bill Tetley for $5. I think Witsit has gone quiet because his wife released a video of him losing his cool and nearly hit her. Fake threatened to hit her. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, potentially, but I think, and I didn't see when that video got. And I know that video got published, but I don't know when it got published because he'd gone pretty quiet before that. So, yeah, I'm not too sure. But anyway, right. I'm probably going to wrap this up now anyway because, yeah, I've said what needed to be said. Tune for top left. That was the important thing. Yeah, and it's getting late. It's 12:30, gone 12:30. I've been up since about 5 o'clock this morning. Quite good actually. I had a gym session this morning. Although I say gym session, it was outside. Once the weather starts getting better, we tend to do the gym sessions, group PT session stuff, and we do it outside. And we've just started back, and just this morning I was lying in a field because they do them at the sessions start at like 6:30 in the morning. So right about now is we are starting just before sunrise. So literally as we're doing the session, you can see the sun rising up. But when we start, the sun's hasn't actually risen yet. But we're quite near to like a couple of big airports as well. So you get a lot of planes flying over and you see them in the morning. So like yesterday morning I was there and I'm watching, and you can just see all of these planes, like literally 7 or 8 planes all streaming one after the other in unison off to the west, and like, well, they're all going to America. So I was lying there this morning, and when I say I was lying there, I was doing crunches or something. So basically, I was doing some exercise. Oh no, leg raises or some shit. Where I'm lying on my back doing this exercise, but I'm looking up at the sky. And as I'm looking up at the sky, I'm like, sun hasn't risen yet, and there is a plane literally right above my head, and you could see half of it, like underside, half like blistering sunlight from underneath. I'm like, shit, I need a camera. I need to get a picture of this. I've got nothing. It was like, if I had my camera right now, I'd just be getting a picture of that. Because normally, I've done the videos about sunrise and sunset and the sun glistening off the bottom of the plane, which can only happen on a globe, unless you're suggesting insane amounts of light bend that make the globe atmospheric refraction look minute. But usually I'm seeing that like with planes that are way off in the distance, so it's really hard to even with the almighty P1000, you can't actually see the plane very clearly. They're just way off in the distance, and like you can't tell exactly where the light's reflecting from. So it's like, if I could get one when it's up overhead, that'd be perfect. And yeah, bloody saw one this morning, so now I might have to go down to the gym in the morning to not actually do the gym, just to sit there with a camera while everyone else does the gym, while I wait for more globe evidence. More science. The video with Whitsitt going nuts was recorded shortly after he got back from Antarctica. He seems to be trying to explain why he vaped. The time of her releasing the video is on. Yeah, like I said, okay. So maybe he'd, because like I said, I don't think she posted the video straight away, did she? If I recall rightly, it was a few weeks after I think she posted the video. So yeah, potentially he's just gone quiet. I don't know. Whatever. There's 101 explanations. I'm not delving into potential explanations. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Right. So yes. I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you to everyone who's been here and been watching along and joined, and thank you to everyone who's super chatted and become members and the likes. It's always appreciated. So like I said, I did say at the start, but just to update everyone with what's going on in case you missed the beginning. I'm looking at, so for live streams, I'm not going to do any more than bloody 6-hour long ones. It kills me. yeah, I'm going to try and do more structured live streams going forward. I'm by no means stopping doing videos. I have videos on the way that I'm working on, that I will be getting up as soon, will be getting online as soon as I can. But I do enjoy doing the live streams, just because I get to engage with all of you guys. Plus, it also helps me come up with new ideas as well. You know, you guys feed me ideas for videos, so it's all great all around. So yes, I'm trying to sort out. I want to start doing live streams where I can, like I say, I can basically just open up the stream to be able to say to flat earthers or moon landing deniers, jump on the stream with me now. Let's have sort of 10-15 minutes or whatever, where you can just name the biggest piece of evidence that you think disproves the globe or the moon landings, and then, you know, and I'll by that I'll be opening it up to people who are actually prepared to take on board things. So, you know, which is what we're doing with what Jaren and I are going to be doing. You give me the best piece of evidence you think you've got that disproves this, and then I'll give you an answer to it, and we'll go from there. So that's what I'm hoping to do. Currently, what I need to do is, well, I need to either pay for a Zoom account, because Zoom at the minute is limiting to like 40 minutes, and I don't know whether that's going to be long enough. But I did see, I've seen loads of things. There's something called Video Ninja, which is basically meant to be linked with OBS. I think it's all part of the same thing. But for some bleeding reason, I can't get it to work on this computer where OBS is. It works fine on my laptop. I've tried it on that. But if I try doing it with OBS, everything just goes really stuttery and I can't work out why. So anyway, I'm rambling. I'm trying to work through a few technical difficulties. Once I've got through that, we should hopefully be okay to start having some, like say, open discussion streams. With regards to the Jaren stuff, so yes, if you're not aware, Jaren and I, when we were on the Antarctica trip, after he turned around and said, you know, shown the intellectual honesty to be able to turn around and say, shit, 24-hour sun doesn't work on a flat Earth. Earth can't be flat. He and I had already had a lot of conversations by that point where it was very amicable. We were giving each other's points of view, and each person was listening to those points of view and taking them on board and actually responding to them like grown-ass adults can do. So I said to him, I'd love to have a chat with you about the moon landings, because I think I can... I think every piece of evidence that everything that he's got that he thinks doesn't work, that shows the moon landings didn't happen. I think I can show convincingly enough that actually that's incorrect. So I'm quietly confident that I can show and convince him that the moon landings did actually happen. But anyway, so I'd suggested that to him. He's up for it, which is great. So he's been putting it out to his audience the past couple of streams that we're going to be doing this. He's been asking for people to come and give him their best points as well. So it's not just his points, it's collectively more people, I think. So I think he's having a Zoom call. Well, Saturday, it is now Saturday, so I don't know, some point within the next 24 hours, with everybody else to get all of their arguments across. He's going to compile a list, send that list to me so that I can see what points that he's going to be that he thinks disproves the moon landings, so I can then compile evidence and arguments to sort of disprove those. And then once I've got all of that, we can arrange doing a live stream together, where we can sort of go through all of the points one by one. Maybe a couple of live streams. It depends how many points he's got and how long it takes to go through everything. I don't know the structure for the live streams yet. We said we'll do it on a live stream. I don't know whether it's just going to be on one of our channels or whether we'll both mirror each other, whether we'll both stream at the same time. I don't know, or dates or anything. Once I worked all that out, I'll let you all know. But it is on the way. But other than that, man, those parabolic radio receivers were very much geographically diverse to prevent local conditions to impact. Okay. Sorry, I was just making notes of things mentally. I pointed out Lars Lenore. I pointed out to Jaren and Flatsoid has completely lied in his stream about an image. I can't say is I mean I've not seen what this image is that he supposedly got. Let's just say it wouldn't surprise me if he's lying about it, but don't know. I'll see. Mars Science, it's just so bizarre that you or anyone has to try and argue we've been or not to the moon. You have no idea how to. The thing is, Mars, and it's kind of links back to what you were saying before about the flat earth thing as well, is most people that, by most I mean average Joe on the street these days, doesn't consider any of this. They don't think about most of this stuff. You know, moon landings were what, 60, what are we on now, 2025, 50 odd years ago. The globe, right? The fact most technology, day-to-day stuff, like, is all built around the Earth being a globe. But to most people on the street, they don't consider any of that. They're not thinking, like, and I can see that by the fact that I've started doing these videos, because I then spend a lot more time looking at day-to-day things, thinking, how does that prove the globe? How does this work globe? How would that work flat Earth? That's how I came to like the sunlight shining on the bottoms of planes. That was literally like I was seeing sunlight glistening off the bottoms of planes. Something that I've seen 101 times over years. And at no point do I think, why is the sun why am I seeing that sun? Why am I only seeing that at sunrise and sunset? It wasn't until I was doing these videos that I then started to think that's because the Earth's a globe. That if the Earth were flat, this would happen. That would happen. Most people aren't thinking, is the Earth a flat? Is the Earth a globe? It's an alien concept to them. The moon landings, the moon landings were obviously a huge thing back when it happened. But nowadays, it's just a case of you get told as a kid, people have walked on the moon. But most people don't look into any of it. They don't consider any of it. So, I can sort of see the logic of, if you go in with absolutely no prior knowledge of space flight, anything else, right? If you go in with a completely fresh, new mind, having never looked at it, and the only thing you ever know is Neil Armstrong. I was told Neil Armstrong was the first man who walked on the moon, right? That's pretty much the base knowledge of a lot of the population. And you then kind of go with the mindset of, well, they got there 50 odd years ago, but we've never been back since. I can see why people would take that concept and then go, well, because it seems so alien to people to think technology's just got so much better. Like, stuff in the 60s was basic compared to a lot of the stuff we have today. They don't consider the implications of rockets and payloads and more just the sheer amount of money that was spent to do it. in back in the 60s. Oh, okay. So apparently, I'm sorry. I'm seeing. I've got catching up on Discord stuff. I'll bear that in mind, Gary. Thanks for the message. It was just so everyone's clear. I had Discord messages from Flatzoid while I was streaming. Said, "Hey, why are you running, coward? You're lying about me. Lie and won't even be a man and let me defend myself. By the way, I'm blocked in your chat." Right. I didn't block Flatzoid. And what have I lied about? In the sense that I showed exactly what he said. That's not lying. I'm not lying that he went and called Lisbeth a village bicycle or insinuated that she was a village bicycle and insinuated that, actually said outright that the only reason she was there is for the appeasement of all the males who were there. That's not me lying. I mean, but Flatzoid didn't get blocked. He got timed out once for 30 minutes. It's fine, because I'm sure Flatzoid will be streaming tomorrow about how hard done by he is and how I've lied about everything, even though he's on record saying all of these things. Because, like I said, it would be bad enough him turning around and saying, Lisbeth's done this, and, Lisbeth sent Jaren a picture, and I think this and I think that. But he thrown everybody else into it as well. He threw everybody. There's no justification for any of that whatsoever. So, yeah. And yeah, so I'm not interested in having a chat with him about it. I don't want to know. I either want him to redact the everybody involved, or show evidence that, because by saying everyone's involved, he's directly implementing me within that claim as well, and suggesting that I did things with Lisbeth in Chile and Antarctica. So he can either clarify the claim or retract the damn thing. Until then, I don't want to hear a word from him. Mars Science, Annie lives in the Southern Hemisphere. You could just go and look. Oh, yeah. The daft thing is, he did a video not that long ago attempting to debunk the globe because he looked and said the sun should rise at 118 degrees south, and 122 degrees south, and it rose at 118 or something like that. It was a few degrees off. He's kind of ignored. I can't remember exactly what the thing was. It was either mag declination or his phone wasn't quite lined up properly, or basically there was a reason why his phone was a few degrees off, but the sun was exactly where the globe predicts it should be, and like 90 degrees off where it should be from flat Earth. But he goes, oh, it's a few degrees off, therefore the Earth can't be a globe. Not, it's way off for a flat Earth. How the hell does that work? Obsessed Patriot, I tried to tell you, you should at least speak to him. I knew he would use that against you. He'll always twist. They'll twist every. I mean, I've been on and spoken to him. This is the thing with Flatzoid, was I've spoken to him before. I went on and had a discussion with him on FTFE stream where it was supposed to be a debate. Was TFE faked? And basically, my argument was, I was there, I saw it, here's the video, I would like to know how it was faked. Flatzoid gave some claims regarding Unreal Engine. I pulled up the video on the 360. I said to him, if it was faked in Unreal Engine, what is on the 360 camera then? and he said, "Oh, that'll be the actual video, but you've then just, you know, on here will be the actual video where the sun would supposedly set, and then, but then we've rendered the sky in afterwards." So I just literally went, okay, well, I took this on holiday with me, so it's got loads of other videos that I'm trying to get through now. So I just went, okay, there's... I said, okay, there's the video literally playing back on the camera. You know, we can sit through this for 25 minutes if you want, but I can guarantee you... In fact, I could probably skim through it. This, incidentally, is why I wound up... This is, incidentally, how I managed to find out there was now a webcam facility on here. There we go. So... There's the sun over Mount Rossman. And there's Toon and I doing his Solar Midnight stream. So his own argument was, well, this footage would have the sunset. I showed him the footage of the sun doesn't set. Did he acknowledge it? Did he? Bollocks. He carried on with, oh, well, yeah, there's ways that you can manipulate that. There's ways that you could fake that. So he spun his argument. I basically then just sat and said, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything. I've got nothing to hide. You ask me whatever you want to know, just ask. I don't care. I was watching his chat at the same time. So while I was doing that stream, you can see me looking over to this monitor constantly because I had his chat open at the same time. And I kept prompting him. Has anyone got any questions? You know, is there any from your side who were asking you questions? I was watching. I knew there was people asking questions. That was when I was then prompting him. And he was like, no. Wouldn't ask, was sort of cherry picking at the questions that he would ask from his side. Didn't want to know. I then caught him watching Flatiron Fred grossly misrepresent the solar photography video that I did and the files involved, trying to claim that there was 8,000 images missing because he couldn't work out what I'd explained in the video about the file numbers being sequential and hitting, so starting at 8,500, running to 9,999, and then going back to 0. He's looked at it the other way and gone, there's like 300 photos, then 8,000 missing. Flatzoid's immediately jumping into claims of, we've shot the sun over 3 separate days. So I wound up going into his stream and showing all of the files. And I even pointed out to him and I said to him, if you'd have just messaged me, he's got me on Discord. If you'd have just messaged me, you could have asked me about this before you went onto a live stream and made an arse of yourself making these ridiculous claims. You could have just messaged me and asked, like, what's going on with this video? What's can you explain this? I'd have explained it for him. He didn't want to know. Had I not seen that live stream and actively gone to his chat and prompted him and then asked, do you want me to come onto the live stream and do it? He'd have never asked. He'd have just made these baseless claims because he's all the more for it, because those would fit his narrative. So yeah, he's not one to seeming. He's proven he's not one for talking. He's no interest. He's only an interest in talking to me because I'm on a stream talking about, because I'm talking about this now. And frankly, with what was said, and I don't need him to try and suggest, oh, that wasn't the carpenter. I've heard exactly what he said. We all heard exactly what he said. We all heard him say everyone. He was throwing in everyone into that. And yeah, I don't need anything from that. I either want him to prove it or redact it. I'm not after anything else from him, and I don't want to speak to him. You know, I don't need any piss poor attempt to try and explain it. So yeah, I'm not wasting my time with him trying to sort of validate what is frankly disgusting things that no human should be trying to say about another human being, much less one who's done absolutely nothing to deserve it other than go to Antarctica, see the sun, and say, yeah, the sun circled me. I still believe the Earth's flat, though. But yeah, this is just, it's like I said, the whole thing is, it's like, you know there's no validation for it because it's not, that instance, that particular bit, there's nothing to do with Antarctica or TFE or anything else at all. Even if you take it as Lisbeth sent a picture to Jaren. There's nothing more to it than that. Flatzoid's trying to spin it into validation for something. And yeah, it just makes the whole claim makes absolutely no sense of why he thinks that Will would pay 40 odd grand for somebody to go to Antarctica all the way to Chile for over a week and then to Antarctica for 4 days for that, but then also make this big song and dance deal about it of here's a flat earther and they're going to Antarctica and they put them on a live stream to, oh, I saw the 24-hour sun, and then come back and go and join Mark Sargent's stream for a couple of weeks as well. There's no rhyme or reason to why that would happen. If it was, you know, there was actually a thing of we need a female there as well. Like I said, you could have got one each in Chile. Even if it was specifically, we need this individual from North America for some reason. They don't need to go all the way to Antarctica. Even if they were to go to Antarctica, you don't need to put them on live streams. It's it's just the ridiculous, obscene claims that I just wanted to highlight them so that everyone knows this is the kind of behavior that apparently he thinks is acceptable against another flat earther just for seeing a 24-hour sun. See? Even Rusty's beside himself with it. I'm sure there was another point. There was. I keep doing this mental thing where I keep thinking there's a point I was going to reference with all of that, and then I forgot it, but I remembered. I'd thought of that earlier as well, and I keep forgetting it. But anyway, it's not important. DC for $10. Here is a 10 spot for all the hard work you do. Forget the flat Earth haters and keep up the good fight. Thank you, DC. Like I said, it was. I mean, yeah, I don't usually go after individuals and the likes. It was just what he said. Not only is there no justification for it, it's a hell of a low level to stoop to for no justification, and it's dragged personal into me, and yeah. So, one of Flatzoid's crew says he's going to Antarctica in December. He didn't know he didn't know what he would achieve by doing so. That would be Roger Ledwell, who is crowdfunding. Although for some reason he seems to be only crowdfunding, I think it was like $4,000. That is the goal he set out to do it. If I remember rightly, he's definitely not set enough. Yeah, here we go. So this is it. Roger Ledwell, support our final Antarctic test. Second final experiment out to the Antarctic midnight sun, keeping it honest across the board. Now, which is funny here because, according to all flat earthers, going to Antarctica and seeing the 24-hour sun isn't science. It's not an experiment. It's not a test. It's an observation. But apparently, if they're going to go and do it, then it is. But yeah, he's currently raised $236 of a target of 4,500. Well, it's about 45,000. It's about 10 times that to go to Antarctica. He's raised $236, of which 5 of that is his himself. So, yeah, kudos to him at least for doing this. Would have been probably more useful if he'd done it. If someone had done it like 9 months ago, 10 months ago, when TFE was first going up. Which that was the frustrating thing is, and I kind of Will kept expressing it because he knew the point. It was open to everyone. And Flatzoi can turn around and whinge all he likes that he didn't have a formal invitation. He didn't have a formal invitation to anything because all the invitation was you're one of the 48 participants listed, which he knew about anyway without a without any email because he was talking about it. But Will never offered to pay for him to go because Will was only ever paying for supposed to be one flat earther to go. So first off, it was Dearth who turned it down. So then it went to Jaren. Had Jaren turned it down, it would have gone on to Whitsitt because Whitsitt was next in the poll. Had it failed at Whitsitt, it would have gone to Eric Dubé. Had Eric Dubé turned it down, Will would have picked another 4 flat earthers and done a poll on them, and basically would have kept going. But yeah. So Flatzoid was never offered an expenses paid trip. It was just he was on the list. He was basically in the same position as MC Toon. MC Toon was one of the 24 globe earthers listed. But Will never offered to pay for him to go because he was paying for me to go. So Toon crowdfunded. So any flat earther could have tried to crowdfund to come with us. None of them did. Then there was the golden ticket. That was what I was going to point out as well, which I completely forgot about. So the golden ticket thing was how Lisbeth got the ticket to go in the first place. Right? Now, I knew I was going to mention this before and I completely bloody forgot. It's hilarious. Flatzoid said in that video, he said, the only reason Lisbeth went is because of that. It was planned way in advance. Right? It was all planned in advance. That was the only reason Lisbeth went is because of this. Which implies one of 2 things maybe. Which is either it was laid out from the outset Lisbeth was going to be going to Antarctica with us when Will was initially planning TFE. Because didn't Flatzoid say something like, or somebody said, it might not have been Flatzoid, one of the people within his stream said she was part of the package of going in the first place, which would imply that when I accepted the position in June, and when Austin and Jaren accepted, which I'm pretty sure were both before the golden ticket thing went out. I know I was certainly accepted pre-golden ticket. I'm pretty sure Jaren and Austin both were as well, or they were at least sort of going in that way. And Critical Thing was already crowdfunding by that point as well. So we were already within that process before we knew Lisbeth was going, which would imply that Lisbeth was already planned before all of that, even though she got the golden ticket. Now, the golden ticket, ironically, came about because of a flat earther playing a prank, basically. Because Will had opened it up and said he was paying for one person from each side to go to Antarctica. Anyone was free to crowdfund. or if anybody wanted to offer to pay for somebody else to go. So somebody put forward an offer to pay for Dean Odell, who several weeks prior had said he'd go to Antarctica, and if the sun circled around his head, it was a ball, and if it did this and went back out that way, it was flat. And lo and behold, when he got offered the opportunity, he cowered it out. Somebody offered to pay for, can't remember the guy's name, somebody, he's not really on YouTube, he's on Facebook, but the stipulation was basically this person would pay for both of them to go to Antarctica, but if the sun didn't set, the flat earther would have to reimburse both tickets. So yeah, in full confident conviction of his beliefs, backed out and refused to go. But then somebody offered to pay for Mark Sargent to go. Mark Sargent said no, wasn't interested, didn't want to know because the sun doesn't tell you anything about the sky or the shape of the ground, and apparently Antarctica's too cold for him, so he rejected it. That then got passed on to Nathan Oakley. So whoever it was who'd contacted Will said, offer it to Nathan Oakley. Or it might have been the other way around, I can't remember, but it was both of them were involved. And Oakley turned it down. And then the person who'd spoke to Will, yeah, that's it. New Moon. Oh, thanks, Big Fish. So yes, this and not this person then contacted Will, then messaged Will and said, just offer it out to as like a golden ticket thing, basically. Then just if you can find somebody who wants to go, I'll pay for it. So Will put this golden ticket thing out where he said, if you're a flat earther and you can prove that you've been a flat earther for at least a period of time, email me and you know, we'll do this golden ticket draw thing. Well, there was 40 odd people, I think he said. I can't remember exact numbers, but there was a fair number of flat earthers who asked to go. Will did a stream with, I think it was like 12 of them, 12 finalists that he brought on. And of the 12 that he'd picked, now bearing in mind, I don't know who the exact list were, but if there was any big name ones like Som or PJ or Flatzoid or any of those, I'm pretty sure Will would have put them in. Because if they hadn't, if they'd have applied for the golden ticket, I'm pretty sure they'd have mentioned it by now. And if they didn't get into the finalist bit, they'd have definitely mentioned it by now. The only person within the finalists that I knew had ever heard of was Brian Leakey. Nobody else in that finalist list I'd ever heard of before, but Lisbeth was one of them. So Will ended up being Lisbeth who got the golden ticket. But then it transpired, right after that, it turned out that this anonymous donor who was offering to pay for it was in fact somebody by the name of New Moon, who's a flat earther. The whole thing was a con. There was never actually a genuine offer to pay. So Lisbeth's ticket came about. The only reason Lisbeth got involved in it in the first place was due to a flat earther playing a fucking scam. Ironically, is the only reason Lisbeth got involved in the first place. After that, Will then went on a thing of setting up a GoFundMe to pay for Lisbeth's ticket, because it was obviously unfair to Lisbeth to sort of have a built up on this. You've just won this free trip to Antarctica, then have it shattered. And then somebody ended up helping and paying a big chunk of it as well. To then get the golden ticket place for Lisbeth in the first place. So yeah, it was quite hilarious that Flatzoid's making out like that's the only reason Lisbeth was there was because of all of this, and yet half of us were already in the process of trying to go before anyway. none of us even knew who Lisbeth was. Like when like I said, when the golden ticket thing came out, the only person I'd ever heard of was Brian Leakey. Rest of them were complete unknowns. Lisbeth has never done anything on YouTube that I know of. I think it's everything she's been on that Clubhouse platform. So yeah, it's just utterly ridiculous claims, and the only reason she was actually there is because a flat earther played a prank. So, no, Will didn't pay for Lisbeth. Will set up a GoFundMe for Lisbeth. He was already paying for me, himself, Jaren, and Austin, so he was already paying for more than enough anyway. He set up a crowdfund for it, and then there was somebody who reached out to him having seen this whole shitstorm caused by New Moon and basically said, crowdfund what you can and I'll contribute the difference, basically. So there was somebody who paid a big chunk towards it. I don't know who it was, but there was somebody who reached out to Will and said that they would put a big contribution towards it. But yeah, basically it was all crowdfunded in response to a fake offer from a flat earther that, ironically, had they not made that, there wouldn't have been the golden ticket. Lisbeth would have never have gone. So yeah, absolutely insane that with it, all of that, and then Flatsoid's now turning around saying that the reason she went is because of these obscene claims, like say, are dragging everyone's name into the dirt, even though he's got no evidence of any of it. He's got what he says is a photo that I'll wager probably isn't a photo of Lisbeth. Or if he's got a photo of Lisbeth, it's probably not one that actually got sent to Jaren anyway, but I don't know. Anyway, right. It's, this stream went on a bit longer than I was anticipating. So, yes. Thank you to everyone who's stopped by. I would say Rusty's asleep on the floor. So, sorry, Kit, Samcat, what happened to Candace Owens' team? In terms of Candace Owens' team, there was, I'll just update everyone. So I think Mark Herman mentioned this in the TFE Rewind stream, I think, possibly. So Mark Herman was the guy who went on behalf of Candace Owens. He's her producer. I think he's trying to organise having something on Candace's channel to discuss it. There was supposed to be, in fact, a debate on Candace Owens. Right, hang on. I'm jumping back and forth here. Where's Wally? New Moon admitted the other day on Red's stream that he set up the fake offer to try and embarrass TFE and stop Flirts going. Right, okay. Put a pin in Candace Owens just for a second, because Wally's reminded me I was going to talk about something else. So where's Wally said, New Moon admitted the other day on Red's, which is Red's Rhetoric, Red's stream, that he set up the fake offer to try and embarrass TFE and stop Flirts going. Worked out well. Hey, right. There's the funny thing. So first off, New Moon was trying to get Flat Earthers to not go, which speaks bleeding volumes in the first place for something that apparently doesn't matter. Why do you care Flat Earthers not going? Hey, DPD Bunks is in the house. I would reciprocate DP and have you on my stream, but I haven't worked that bit out yet. And having seen the tech fart that you had this morning trying to do it, I'm not even going to attempt it. Yes, so New Moon and the fake offer. This is the funny bit that I forgot to mention. So not only is Flatzoid saying that's the only reason Lisbeth went is because of that, which I'm now fucking sick of saying, literally sick. That's the only reason that Lisbeth went. When in fact the reason that Lisbeth went is because of a golden ticket offer that came about because of New Moon trying to stop Flat Earthers from going. So New Moon sort of portrayed himself to Will as this anonymous donor who was prepared to pay for somebody, then turned around and basically can't remember specifically whether he just completely blanked Will and didn't then follow on with anything, or whether he definitely didn't say who he was. I don't think he told Will it was a prank. I think he might have just ghosted him instead after the golden ticket thing. I don't know if maybe he was hoping that no flat earthers would accept the golden ticket. I don't know. But New Moon then went on to Flatzoid's stream and said in Flatzoid's chat he was the one behind the golden ticket. After the golden ticket thing had been announced, after Lisbeth was chosen, New Moon then went on to Flatzoid and said outright he was the one that set it all up. So Flatzoid knew. Flatzoid was basically the first person to get told the golden ticket thing was a complete con set up by a flat earther. That's how Lisbeth got chosen to go, and now he's there turning around saying the only reason that Lisbeth was going is because of completely different reasons. Yeah, it's just farcical. Basically, I think flat earthers are so busy chasing their own tail they can't keep up with their own bullshit now. It's hilarious. It's like, in fact, on the Flatzoid stream the other day, he had Mark Sargent on, and then Mark Sargent was going on about how the sun doesn't matter, TFE doesn't matter, going to Antarctica doesn't matter. Flatzoid's there parroting him, saying it doesn't matter. About 3 breaths later, Roger Ledwell, who was on the stream with him, pipes up and says, if I go to Antarctica and I see that they're lying about it, does that put the cork back in the bottle? Oh no, it might have been the other way around, in fact. Yeah. But yeah, basically within this, it's very short space of time, Roger's there saying, if I go to Antarctica and the sun doesn't set, can we, let's just, or if he goes to Antarctica and the sun sets, well, that debunks the globe. I mean, realistically, if he goes to Antarctica and says he sees and sees the 24-hour sun and says he sees the 24-hour sun, he better be prepared because a shitstorm from Flat Earth is going to be approaching him. But yeah, as if Flat Earth is basically in this position of the sun in the sky does not prove the shape of the ground. Unless the sun sets in Antarctica, in which case it definitely tells you the shape of the ground because it can't be a globe. Yeah, not meaning anything, are you? That's all they just say is TFE doesn't mean anything. TFE is not important, it's irrelevant. Only because they can't explain it. If they could explain it, it would be very relevant. Highlighted by the fact that, like I said earlier, 8 years ago, I think it was, D Marble, who Flat Earther, best well known for taking a spirit level on a plane, went to Alaska to see the 24-hour sun in the north. Because, he actually showed in the video, AE map, sun circling around the northern tropic, circling around the North Pole. So he made a prediction, well, if that's the case, I should be able to go to Alaska and see the sun circling around me. So he went to Alaska, saw the sun circling around him. He was on Nathan Oakley's stream afterwards. In fact, I think Nathan Oakley was actually involved within that, because while he was watching the sun for 24 hours circling Alaska, he had people in various locations in North America and the UK and the likes photographing the sun as well and noting when was it visible, when was it set, where did it go and everything. Basically, the same stuff that we did in Antarctica without the solar photography, but the same basic thing that we did in Antarctica, but just in the north. And not only was it more than happy for them to accept that there, but they were also actively saying that it proved that the Earth couldn't be a globe. In fact, you know what? Just for prosperity, I'm sure I got it saved here somewhere. Let me just see if I can find it. I'm sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to find, I was trying to find, I had it the other day. basically, I started work on a video talking about the massive contradictions that flat earthers are now pulling up, where they're going back and forth and making contradictions with their own claims. And then I got sidetracked and I stopped that and put a pin in it because I wanted to then jump onto doing aircraft pitch data. So it was like, I've still got the pages saved, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, there was an Oakley live stream with D Marble, and I'm sure Ranty and Sleeping Warrior were in there arguing and going, how does this work with a globe? Oh, in fact, here it is. Hang on, let me just... This might be it. Let me just play this now, see where this is. So this is... Yeah, Flat Earth debate. This is way back 2018 with D Marble. Let me just see if this is it.
You just played the video and we saw the 24-hour sun without it actually setting. So explain that. Away you go.
Okay, let me find something that explains it.
Well, hang on.
Go find something? You're going to Google something right now?
Yeah.
Go to Wikipedia.
You're going to Google an explanation.
It's going to explain to us why we're not seeing what we're seeing. Okay.
This is funny.
Isn't it?
I'm still waiting for your answer, the 15 degrees every hour. And you've not answered it yet, but carry on.
Why should we? We first started talking about the 24-hour sun.
It does not work on a flat plane.
How does it work on a globe?
Answer it. It's like the two pole stars. You can't.
Listen, we admit we don't have all the answers. Apparently, you have all.
I was just using that as an example.
Just want to ask one question. So you say on a flat plane. Now, when you say that, presumably because we've got a depiction of the A map, are you assuming therefore that D Marble is of the position that that is actually representative of our world or not?
Just have any flat plane. I was just using.
I will also point out, funnily enough, that Oakley says, is he jumping the conclusion that D Marble, that is the position of D Marble? D Marble's own video shows the AE projection and the sun going around it, which is why he said he went to Alaska.
That as an example, we didn't have to use that as an example. If you have the North Pole in the center, that's the only place the 15 degrees every hour works.
Well, hang on. How about you answering the fact that this was visible for 24 hours straight?
Yeah, how's that work? Also, another thing that only works on a flat Earth is being able to see a laser beam from 10.3 miles away while you're 1 inch above sea level. But you know, we'll go ahead and negate that.
According to your no, it's not an experiment, is it? It's an observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite hilarious that they're banging on about the. I did find. I'm sure Sleeping Warrior was in one of them somewhere. I'll have to go back through and find them. I'd have made a note of them all, but yeah, I forgot to. But I'm sure he's within this somewhere within Ranty, and it's quite hilarious that they're talking about a 24-hour sun in the north. But that doesn't work on a globe. That works with a flat Earth. We'll go with the Earth being flat. Suddenly now, when the boot's on the other foot, I don't want to know now. Right. I am going to wrap this up now because yeah, we're up to 3.5 hours. I was only planning on doing about a 2-hour stream tonight. You guys kept me all busy. Right, Bill Tetley, $10. Why is it that every Fleur feels that if they are the ones to see this, that or the other, then they will be the reason for the end of flat Earth? Yeah, maybe it is, or either you could say that, or you could say that it's that if they see it, then they can't deny it. Is a, you know, because they always talk about that you've got to go and see it with your own eyes. You know, if you show them something like, you know, show them footage from space or whatever, it's always, I want to see it with my own eyes. So maybe it's a case of if they don't go to Antarctica, then they can just carry on denying it and calling it fake. If they go to Antarctica, they can't. Now, you blame for Catzoid. He messaged you over Discord and you continued. I didn't have Discord open at the time. I didn't know Flatzoid had messaged me because I didn't have Discord. That's why I didn't know. I've got 2 missed calls from him. I didn't know he'd messaged. I wasn't. The chat was going that insane. I couldn't keep up with anything anyway. I only knew Flatzoid had messaged me because I then saw Gary had messaged me on chatted and said that he'd sent me a message. So I opened Discord to see what Gary sent me, and then saw the messages from Flatzoid. And like I said, it wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference as to whether I'd seen Flatzoid's messages when he'd sent them or when I did see them, because the response still would have been the same anyway, which is I don't want to hear any of his horseshit, because frankly I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. I want to see the proof that he's got of why I'm getting dragged into it and why he's dragging, every one of TFE. So why he's dragging all of that into it. Or he can redact that statement and correct it. I mean, he's got his own stream. Oh, sorry, Nanu, I meant for continuing the video. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's very late. I'm very tired. Yes, it's 1:30. I've been awake since 5. And yeah, so I will try this again for the third and final time. Thank you to everyone. And just for the third and final time, because I see MC Toon is in the chat, I'll just link to his video one more time. So when the stream finishes in a moment, do all please make sure that you go and watch that link there. Just pop it on repeat, leave it going for, I don't know, a couple of days. Yes, Evil Duck, sorry, retract, not redact, yes, that one. Right, so thank you everyone for all of the support. MC Toon says, be sure to go and thumbs up the video. No, sorry, not that. No, not that. That. Don't do that, because he's fudging the numbers. Anyway, I will leave you all with the rusty outro. Thank you everyone for stopping by, and we will see you all in the next live stream.
Rusty sits atop his big red chair, casting out looks without a care. With his sidekick Dave close at hand, teaching us about the globe. Sunspots or the new space probe, the daring duo will make their stand. Rusty lies in his big red chair, barely rubs legs up in the air. It's a clever ruse to be sure. He may look sleepy, don't be deceived. Don't let your thoughts be preconceived. He can spring to life in a big red blur. Rusty has a nose for facts, a science-based directive. Battling conspiracy theories, a true canine detective. He can't be denied. So many have tried, so many have failed and ended up dejected, just like the fish John West rejected. So many of them to be corrected. Rusty sleeps in his big red chair, those floppy ears still hear, I swear. He dreams of conspiracies to come. Dave leaves him be, he knows the score. It's action that this hound lives for, and his foes must all eventually succumb. Rusty has a nose for facts, a be corrected.